Chapter 615, Agreed to be together, visit parents, guests from afar. _2. Ni Tsuehua didn't expect little Ni Yun to suddenly pick up the ring, let alone, that ring was accurately put on her finger. Seeing the ring on Ni Kuihua's hand, little Ni Yun started to laugh happily. Pretty. Mom, pretty. The happy ones were not only little Ni Yun, but also Shangguan Dehui. He lifted his head and looked at Ni Tsuehua seriously. Comrade Dia, consider this as your agreement. Ni Kuihua's face turned red for a moment. You should get up first. The restaurant. Ni Tsuehua was about to say that there were many people in the restaurant and it would bother them, but when she looked up, to her surprise, the restaurant was completely empty, except for their table. There were no other guests. Ni Tsuehua was not aware that Shangguan Dehui had booked the entire restaurant for the successful proposal. Shangguan Dehui was overjoyed. He couldn't restrain his inner wild selves and lifted Ni Tsuehua up. Dia. Tell me. I am not dreaming. Ni Tsuehua exclaimed, quickly put me down. Unlike Shangguan Dehui, Ni Tsuehua was always a very conservative person. Even though she had previous experiences in M country, when she was the subject of the situation, she still felt a little embarrassed. Although Beijing was very open at this time and many young couples holding hands could be seen on the street, hugging like this was still quite rare. Fearing to scare her again, Shangguan Dehui let go of her. Comrade Dia, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Ni Tsuehua slipped off the ring. I can't accept this ring for now, it's too valuable. Go to Wuxia World. Site in the countryside, only when engaged would such a valuable gift be given. She and Shangguan Dehui hadn't met their parents yet. Accepting such a valuable thing from him made Ni Tsuehua a little uneasy. Shangguan Dehui said, keep it. The diamond ring is a promise, a testament, a commemoration, and a witness to our feelings. It's too valuable. Ni Tsuehua was a little hesitant. Shangguan Dehui put the ring back on Ni Kuihua's hand. What's valuable or not, we're going to be family sooner or later anyway. Ni Tsuehua, it hadn't started yet, but she already felt a little overwhelmed by Shangguan Dehui. After eating, Shangguan Dehui took Ni Tsuehua and little Ni Yun to watch a movie. Afterwards, they went to the amusement park. The amusement park at this time didn't have as many amusements as in the later ages. There were only some simple facilities inside, such as slides, seesaws, carousels, etc. Little Ni Yun slid down and climbed up the slide, playing very happily. Ni Tsuehua stood outside the barrier. Yun, be careful. There were many people around, but her hand was quietly held by someone. Ni Tsuehua was initially startled, and then she turned her head to see Shangguan Dehui's face. The three of them played outside until after 5 in the evening when Shangguan Dehui drove Ni Tsuehua home. When Shangguan Dehui returned to the Shangguan family, it was already after 7 in the evening. When he returned, the old lady Shangguan was still sitting in the dining room waiting for him to have dinner. Mom, you don't have to wait for me to come back for dinner in the future. Shangguan Dehui sat down in a good mood. Old lady Shangguan laughed. It's okay, anyway, Mom doesn't have anything to do when she's alone at home. Shangguan Shi and Shangguan Su had their own jobs, and they seldom came home. Even Shangguan Dehui lived in the school most of the time and only came home on weekends. Today happened to be Saturday, so the old lady Shangguan was waiting for Shangguan Dehui to have dinner together. Old lady Shangguan looked at Shangguan Dehui. Dehui, what about the thing you told me last time? What happened now? Shangguan Dehui naturally knew what the old lady Shangguan was referring to, nodded and said, we have confirmed our relationship now. Old lady Shangguan was surprised. Really? Shangguan Dehui nodded. Old lady Shangguan continued, where's the girl from? What's her name? What's the situation now? Shangguan Dehui said, Mom, you know her too. I do? Old lady Shangguan was stunned. Shangguan Dehui nodded. Old lady Shangguan's face suddenly turned cold. Is it Lin Fong? It's not her. Shangguan Dehui shook his head. Then who could it be? Shangguan Dehui had kept himself clean for years, He never had much contact with any woman. Old lady Shangguan really couldn't guess who it could be. Who is it? Don't keep your mother in suspense. Chapter 616, Agreed to be together, meet the parents, guests from afar. _3. It's Dia, Shangguan Dehui answered. Upon hearing this, a momentary silence filled the air. After a short pause, Lady Shangguan asked, Dehui, you're not joking with me, are you? Years ago, Shangguan Dehui had been driven to the brink of madness in his search for Dia, his love at first sight. It was only after Lady Shangguan stepped in, threatening Shangguan Dehui with her life, that he finally agreed to marry Su Fun, who was from a family of equal social standing. After his marriage, Shangguan Dehui had completely changed. Withdrawing his wild habits, he devoted himself to his studies, and successfully completed his postgraduate and doctoral studies, even becoming a professor. So, Lady Shangguan had no particular fondness for Dia, whom she had never met. If it hadn't been for Dia, they, mother and son, might have been driven to a complete break. For a moment, Lady Shangguan even believed that Shangguan Dehui was purposely trying to provoke her. I have indeed found Dia, Shangguan Dehui said with a serious expression. Lady Shangguan put down her chopsticks. Even if you have found Dia, so many years have passed. She's probably married by now. You're not considering breaking up her family, are you? Absolutely not. I won't allow it. The Shangguan family is prestigious. Shangguan Dehui is the head of the family, and he can't possibly consider breaking up someone else's family. Mother, don't worry. Like me, Dia is currently single, Shangguan Dehui replied. Go to Wuxia World. Sight really? Lady Shangguan expressed her doubt. Really, Shangguan Dehui nodded. So what's her current situation? Shangguan Dehui went on to say, her name's Hua. She's 37 this year. She divorced her husband a year ago and is now raising 2 children. The elder daughter is 18 years old, the younger is 1 year and 5 months. The younger daughter is that young. So, does she have any connection left with her husband? Lady Shangguan continued to question. You don't need to worry about that. There is no contact between them at all, Shangguan Dehui replied. Lady Shangguan kept her opinions to herself for the time being. What about her family? What do they do? Their background is very clean. They are farmers by birth, and are now running their own business in the city. In this era, being a farmer is the most transparent background. And Lady Shangguan doesn't have any prejudice towards those who run their own business. As long they earn their living honestly and don't indulge in theft or robbery, there's nothing disgraceful about it. Living by their own means is excellent. I just don't know whether Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi would accept a sister who is 20 years younger than them. The main issue is that the child is too young. That means Hua was already divorced from her husband while still in confinement. What on earth must have happened in a family to make a woman decide to divorce while she was still in confinement? And Hua is a woman from the countryside. Shangguan Dehui added, Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi are good children. You don't have to worry about them. When did you meet Dia? Lady Shangguan continued her inquiry. A little over a month ago, on the mountain trip. Dia was the one who saved me. What? The words took Lady Shangguan by surprise. Yes, she was the one who saved me, Shangguan Dehui nodded and confirmed. Lady Shangguan said, if that's the case, I won't interfere with your relationship anymore. When you have the time, bring her home so that we can all have a look at her. If she's suitable, you should set the wedding date as soon as possible. Both of you are not getting any younger. Children and grandchildren have their own karma. If she interfered too much, she would only become annoying. As long as the woman's character is better than Lin Fang's, that's good enough. She had already had a fight with Shangguan Dehui over Dia once before. If she made a fuss about it again, she was afraid she might completely lose this son of hers. Shangguan Dehui nodded, all right. I'll discuss it with her. After Hua returned, she immediately told Yang about the proposal. Upon hearing this, Ni Yang hugged Nitsuehua. Mom, I want you to be happy. If Uncle Shengwan can bring you happiness, then I will support your relationship. Yang, Nitsuehua hugged Ni Yang, choking with emotion. Thank you. It must have been the good deeds of her past life that allowed her to have such an understanding daughter like Ni Yang. At dinner, Ni Chingue, who was sitting beside Nitsuehua, was the first to notice the diamond ring on her hand. Mother Ni, are you going to have a good news soon? A blush crawled onto Ni Quihua's face. Sister Chingue. Ni Chingue laughed and said, what's so embarrassing about getting married? It's a normal thing. When are you planning to hold the wedding banquet? Chapter 6:17, Agreed to be together, visiting parents, guests who have come from afar. _4. At this, Nitsuehua became even more embarrassed. Ni Chingue then said, Yang Yang's mom, honestly, you and Shengwan Dehue are perfect for each other. I've known for a long time that you two would get together one day. Perhaps it was truly fate. The first time she saw Shengwan Dehue, she felt he and Nitsuehua inexplicably matched very well. Nitsuehua said, Sister Chingue, if you come across someone suitable, you can also. Ni Chingue took a sip of her soup. I haven't encountered anyone suitable, right? If there is someone suitable around you, you could also introduce me. She truly considered Nitsuehua as a sister, so her words were heartfelt. Nitsuehua nodded in agreement. The Shengwan family. The old lady Shengwan was watering the flowers in the garden. Shengwan Furong came over, taking the watering can from her mother's hand. Mom, what's the matter with you today? In a bad mood? No. Old lady Shengwan shook her head in denial. Shengwan Furong continued, are you worried about my brother's situation? Go to Wuxia World. Sight as soon as the words fell, Shengwan Furong added, Mom, actually Lin Feng is really nice. The incident last time was just a misunderstanding. Why must you stick to it? My brother finally found someone he likes. Why break them up? These days, Shengwan Furong had met with Lin Feng quite a few times. Her impression of Lin Feng and her daughter was actually quite good. The key was Lin Feng was easy to handle and presentable. She won't bring disgrace to the Shengwan family, nor disgrace to her. Old lady Shengwan glanced at Shengwan Furong. You should stop thinking about Lin Feng. Why? Old lady Shengwan said, because your brother already has someone. Shengwan Furong was so startled that the watering can dropped from her hand. Mom, you're not joking with me, right? My brother has someone so quickly? Who introduced them? How come I didn't hear a thing? When introducing Lin Feng to Shengwan Dehue, old lady Shengwan had once asked for her opinion. Now this was great. She was completely bypassed. This made Shengwan Furong feel somewhat unable to cope, temporarily. Old lady Shengwan laughed, not just you. I also found out yesterday. Shengwan Furong went on to ask, who is she? Do I know her? What's her family's situation? It's Dia. Old lady Shengwan turned to look at Shengwan Furong. Furong, Dia has returned. Dia? Shengwan Furong asked in disbelief. Mom, is it that Dia? Old lady Shengwan nodded. Dia had actually returned. After so many years. Shengwan Furong never dreamed that she would actually see the woman of Shengwan Dehui's dreams, whom he yearned for day and night. Since Dia is back, does that mean Lin Feng has no hope? Shengwan Furong asked. Even if Dia didn't come back, Lin Feng would have no hope. Old lady Shengwan answered, Furong, if you have time, you should pay more attention to Ziqing and Zijuan. Ziqing and Zijuan are the children of Shengwan Furong. Old lady Shengwan's words were hinting that Shengwan Furong had overstepped her boundaries, but Shengwan Furong was too overwhelmed by the surprise to detect the secondary meaning in old lady Shengwan's words. Mom, don't worry, Ziqing and Zijuan are behaving well, said Shengwan Furong. By the way, Mom, what is Dia doing now? If her memory serves her right, Dia was just a simple country girl all those years ago. Old lady Shengwan said tersely, she divorced her husband over a year ago and is now raising 2 children. The eldest is 18, the youngest is 1 year and 5 months old. According to Dehui, she seems to be running a business in the city. Since she had agreed to their union, everything else she said now was unnecessary. This news made Shengguan Furong explode in shock. What, she has 2 kids? And she is a small business owner. My goodness. Has my brother gone mad? Shengguan Furong is utterly conscious of her face. The fact that her brother's wife is less than reputable caused her extreme discomfort. A small business owner? Doesn't being a small business owner tarnish her glossy image? What's wrong with being a small business owner? Small business owners also make a living by their own efforts. Furong, it's disappointing, for someone who has received higher education, to have such low level of awareness. And also, children are not burdens. If children are burdens, then what are Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi? Although old lady Shengguan had her reservations about Daya, she made distinctions clear. She did not have anything against the profession of small business owners. Chapter 618, Agreed to be together, visiting parents, guests who have come from afar. _5. Self-employed people earn their living with their own skills. They should not be underestimated. When it came to this point, old lady Shengguan continued, the last time your brother went on a mountain trip and encountered danger, it was Daya who saved him. Furong, we Shengguan family members should learn to repay kindness. Repaying kindness means pushing my brother out, Shengguan Furong retorted. This is your brother's own decision, retorted old lady Shengguan. Mom, don't you dislike Daya either? Why suddenly agree to this? Shengguan Furong continued to question. Old lady Shengguan had never met Daya before. But considering the big fuss back then, it would be strange if old lady Shengguan actually liked Daya. She remembered a phrase that old lady Shengguan used to utter, a pretty woman often makes trouble. Old lady Shengguan said, forget the past. Moreover, it's Daya who will live with your brother, not me. Why should I step in? She's already in her later years, how many more can she live? Let the young handle their own affairs. Shengguan Furong continued, but we can't leave matters at that. My brother is your own son, how can you watch him sink into a quagmire? I think Daya is not a good woman. A good woman wouldn't casually divorce her husband. And she even wants us to support her 2 burdens, how calculating she is. And besides, nothing is as simple as it seems. When my brother went mountain traveling, how could Daya just happen to rescue him? This could be a trap set up by her. Go to Wuxia World. Sight, she's so scheming. Shengguan Furong's teeth itched from hatred. She had seen too many shameless, scheming women. From Daya's actions, it was clear to her that Daya was one of them. Old lady Shengguan remained calm. Your brother isn't a fool, he can distinguish good from bad. Don't interfere in this matter. It will only upset your brother. Shengguan Dehui wasn't a fool. She hadn't met Daya in person yet and couldn't make assumptions. Just because she disliked Daya a little, it didn't mean she could simply speculate that Daya was a bad person. Shengguan Furong's face darkened. My brother is bewitched by that woman, there's no way he can see clearly. Old lady Shengguan said, hold your tongue. Other families' sisters-in-law promote harmony, but you love stirring up trouble. Can't you behave a little? Your brother is determined to bring her over. Be careful with your words and actions then. The last sentence carried a hint of a warning. When are they coming over? Shengguan Furong's eyes flickered. Probably next Sunday. Shengguan Furong held onto old lady Shengguan's arm. Mom, at your age and with distinguished guests on the way, let me handle the arrangements. Furong, what are you up to now? Old lady Shengguan looked at Shengguan Furong. Smiling, Shengguan Furong said, Mom, what can I do? What else can I do? I just want to receive the guests properly. We just hired some chefs from F country recently. Let them prepare authentic dishes from F country. Daya is just a country bumpkin who hasn't seen the world, she probably wouldn't even know how to use a knife and fork. Even if Shengguan Furong doesn't lift a finger, she can make that yokel retreat. As long as Shangguan Furong doesn't go too far, old lady Shangguan won't intervene. The next day, old lady Shangguan came for noodles as usual. Though she was preoccupied, the noodles were still delicious. In fact, she came not only for the noodles but also to see Ni Yang and chat with him. She truly likes Ni Yang. Unfortunately, Ni Yang didn't come to the shop today. In fact, Ni Yang hadn't been in the shop for a long time, when she was finished with the noodles and aimlessly walking on the street. Just then, a bicycle pulled up next to her. Old lady. Yang Yang. Old lady Shangguan's face lit up. Yang Yang, where are you going? Ni Yang gave a slight smile. I just came back from the bank and am going to window shop. I plan to buy a dress for my mom. Since he was about to visit the Shangguan family, Ni Yang decided to buy a nice dress for Ni Tsuehua. Chapter 619, Agreed to be together, visiting parents, guests who have come from afar. _6. Excitedly, Mrs. Shangguan said, I need to buy some clothes too. Let's go together. Sure. Ni Yang nodded. Ni Yang pushed the cart with Mrs. Shangguan walking alongside her. With concern, Ni Yang said, Ma'am, you looked a bit off color earlier. Have you been worried about something lately? Laughing, Mrs. Shangguan shook her head. What could I possibly worry about? It's just that I've been having some trouble sleeping recently. And there was a bit of anxiety. She was worried that Dia would bring trouble to the Shangguan family for not having good character. After all, what Shangguan Furong said made sense. Why would the person who saved them become Dia? Hearing this, Ni Yang pulled out a blue pill bottle from her bag. I have these calming pills. Just smell them before you sleep and you'll fall asleep immediately, without any dreams. You should try it. Really? Mrs. Shangguan was a bit surprised. Of course. Ni Yang nodded and said with a smile, Don't you always call me divine doctor? Would I ever deceive you? Yang Yang, thank you. What a good child Yang Yang is. Why couldn't she be her granddaughter? You're welcome. Go to Wuxia World. Sight the two arrived at Clothing City. Ni Yang first selected an outfit for Mrs. Shangguan, then picked a trendy but elegant and dignified outfit for Ni Tsuehua, which suits her temperament perfectly. After all, it's their first meeting, she should make a good impression on the elders. Yang Yang, is this outfit for your mom? Mrs. Shangguan asked. Yes. Ni Yang nodded. From the outfit that Ni Yang picked, it's clear that her mom must also be a beauty with great temperament, and most importantly, she must have a good character to raise such an excellent daughter as Ni Yang. Sigh. The best daughter-in-law and granddaughter always belong to other people's families. Your mom is really lucky to have such a filial daughter like you. Mrs. Shangguan sighed. With a slight smile, Ni Yang said, My mom gave me life, without her there's no me. It's only right that I should be filial to her. Filial piety is the most important of all virtues. Mrs. Shangguan nodded. She looked at Ni Yang with full admiration. What good upbringing. Ni Yang's upbringing is really good. After buying the clothes, the two left Clothing City. They happened to run into a middle-aged woman taking her two kids out. Stop crying. You're bringing us bad luck. Your younger brother is smaller than you, can't you give him a break? The girl was probably around 10 years old, and the boy was around 7 or 8. I want new clothes too. The middle-aged woman said, When your sister can't wear her clothes anymore, then you can. While rubbing her eyes, the little girl said, Why does my brother get new clothes? Why doesn't my brother have to wear other people's old clothes? Because he's your younger brother. And you're his elder sister. The middle-aged woman said fiercely, You're so big now and still don't understand anything. If you keep this up, watch out, I will hit you. Mom, I want to eat candied hawthorn. The little boy tugged at the middle-aged woman's hand. The woman's expression softened instantly. All right. Mom will buy it for you. The little girl looked at the boy enviously, but her mother didn't spare her another glance in the end. Watching this scene, Mrs. Shangguan slightly furrowed her brows. Dia wouldn't be that kind of person, would she? Last time when she came to Clothing City, she saw Lin Fang's true colors. Could what she's seeing now be Dia? Mrs. Shangguan was a bit frightened. She had even forgotten that Dia had 2 daughters. With a heavy heart, Mrs. Shangguan returned home. The Ni family. As soon as Ni Yang left, a blonde blue-eyed foreigner arrived at their home. Due to the language barrier, she took quite some time to find Ni Yang's house. The villagers had never seen a foreigner, so now they all gathered in front of the courtyard of Ni's house to watch the excitement. Yang Yang's mom. Yang Yang's mom. Come out. Someone's looking for your daughter Yang Yang. The visitor was none other than Emily's mother, Annie. Although Annie could not speak Chinese, she had the note given to her by Ni Yang. By showing the note to everyone, they all understood. Here we are. Ni Tsuhua came out from the inner room with Xiaoni. Seeing that it was the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Annie, she was a little taken aback. Hello, is Ni Yang at home? Ni Tsuhua was startled at first, then she realized that she could actually understand what Annie was saying. It seemed that her recent study of English was not for nothing. Although Ni Tsuhua could understand, the villagers couldn't, so they were all guessing what Annie was saying. Chapter 620, Agreed to be together, visiting parents, guests who have come from afar. _7 Engaging in conversation with a person from M country for the first time, Ni Tsuehua was slightly nervous. She swallowed and said, hello. I am Ni Yang's mother. Do you need Ni Yang for something? Upon hearing this, Annie was thrilled. She had finally met someone who spoke English. The villagers who were watching from the side were also stunned. No one expected that Ni Tsuehua could speak English. Yang Yang's mom is amazing. Yang Yang's mom is really hiding her skills. Oh my god. Yang Yang's mom speaks English so well. Humph. As if you could understand a word of it. The crowd murmured in awe of Ni Tsuehua. Annie grabbed Ni Kuihua's hand. Oh my god. You're Ni Yang's mother? I finally found you. Is Ni Yang at home? Ni Yang is not at home right now. Why don't you come in and have a seat? As she finished, Ni Tsuehua looked around at the other people and switched back to Chinese. All of you come in and have a seat. The crowd declined politely with laughter. They still had work at home. Go to Wuxia World. Site they were just there to join in the fun, they didn't dare to stay too long. Accompanied by Ni Tsuehua, Annie entered the confines of the Ni family household, exclaiming, what a beautiful yard. Does Ni Yang live here? Although they had not moved to the new place next door yet. Ni Yang kept Ni Chenggui's yard tidy and looking very nice. Flowers were planted in the yard, and there were stone tables and seats under the osmanthus tree, painting a picturesque scene. Ni Tsuehua nodded, made tea, and brought out some snacks for Annie. This was the first time Annie tasted such delicious Chinese food. And drank such fragrant tea. People in M country know very well how to enjoy life and love drinking tea. However, their tea, mostly black tea, is very different from Chinese tea and doesn't taste as good. After all, the Chinese tea ceremony has been passed down for thousands of years. Many say that the Chinese are very barbaric, but the Chinese she met on this trip were all very warm and not as barbaric as rumored. Furthermore, China is developing well, not as backward as she had imagined. Overall, Annie had a very good impression of China. Before long, Ni Yang returned. Annie had seen Ni Yang's photos in Emily's camera before. Upon seeing Ni Yang, she rose from her seat excitedly and said with enthusiasm, hello, Ni Yang. Ni Yang remained calm. I apologize, but may I know who you are? She felt like she had seen Emily somewhere before, but couldn't recall where. Annie continued, my name is Annie. I am Emily's mother. Then Ni Yang remembered. Emily looked very similar to Annie. No wonder Annie looked familiar. Hello Auntie, is Emily with you? Annie shook her head, no. She didn't come with me. I came alone. Annie would have come earlier, but some matters delayed her, so she only came now. Annie then continued to ask, "N.I. Young, are you the producer of Ice Jade Skin?" "Yes." N.I. Young nodded slightly. Annie excitedly said, "N.I. Young, the effect of your Ice Jade Skin is really good. My friends and I all like to use it very much. Can you sell me a few more sets?" N.I. Young didn't expect Annie to come to buy Ice Jade Skin. This was a surprise. Seems like she didn't give the Ice Jade Skin to the wrong person last time. N.I. Young smiled and said, "Of course. By the way, our factory is just nearby. Would you like me to take you for a visit?" "Really?" Annie was a bit surprised. She just came to buy Ice Jade Skin and didn't expect to have a chance to visit the factory. N.I. Young nodded slightly and made a pleased gesture, "Please follow me." The factory was 2 rows of low buildings, built behind their new house, but currently 1 row was still vacant. The production line was small but very organized. Workers wore sterilized suits and gloves. Disinfecting was necessary when entering and leaving the workshop. Including N.I. Young and Annie, everyone had to put on the sterilized suits before they enter. The workshop had only a dozen workers before, but now it had expanded to 20. The daily production volume was around 6,000 bottles. N.I. Young introduced everything to Annie in fluent English. Annie was stunned. She could hardly believe that China's technology had reached such an incredible level. After leaving the factory, Annie suddenly had an audacious idea. Chapter 621, Agreed to be together, visiting parents, guests who have come from afar. _8 She wants to distribute N.I. Yang's products. She plans to introduce Bing Gu Fu to M country. Such an excellent product would surely be welcomed with open arms in M country. Yet, she still needs to test the market back home. If successful, she would discuss possible cooperation with N.I. Young. With this in mind, Annie proposed, "N.I. Young, could you sell me 30 of these gift box sets?" Upon arriving in China, Annie conducted a small survey and found out that the gift box version of Bing Gu Fu was a limited edition. Each store could only have a maximum of 200 boxes per month, far below the demand. Therefore, she felt somewhat apprehensive when suggesting buying 30 boxes. Though Bing Gu Fu was a limited edition, it wouldn't impact the domestic market as Annie intended to introduce it to M country. Additionally, N.I. Young intended to bring Bing Gu Fu to an overseas market, so he agreed and said, "Sure. That's wonderful." Annie excitedly embraced N.I. Young, "Thank you." The gift box version of Bing Gu Fu was priced at 268 yuan, about $40, per set. 30 of these sets would cost 8,040 yuan, about $1,220. Because Annie had traveled from afar, N.I. Young even gave her a 10% discount, assuring her that all her future purchases would come with this discount. Of course, Annie was thrilled to enjoy these savings, considering even money couldn't guarantee you this part. Having received her 30 Bing Gu Fu sets, Annie returned to her country on the overnight flight. Sunday. Source, updated on Wuxia Site. C0 N.I. Young had a free day today and got up early to accompany N.I. Tsuihua to visit the Shengguan family. Soon after they finished breakfast, Shengguan Dehui came to pick them up. Although N.I. Tsuihua had already been married once, she couldn't help but feel nervous. She had all sorts of worries. Worrying about meeting a terrible mother-in-law like Mrs. Mu. Furthermore, Shengguan Dehui had a son and a daughter. Would his kids accept her? Could they peacefully coexist with N.I. Young and little N.I. Yun? N.I. Young held N.I. Kuihua's hand and whispered, "Mom, don't worry. Uncle Shengguan is a good man, his family can't be too bad." N.I. Tsuihua nodded. Reassured by N.I. Young, N.I. Tsuihua immediately felt more relaxed. At the Shengguan residence, Shengguan Su and Shengguan Shi were sitting on the couch. Su Lian and Mrs. Shengguan were chatting. Shengguan Furong was teasing her pet pug. Shengguan Shi looked curiously at Shengguan Furong. "Aunt, have you met Aunt Dia? How is she?" Shengguan Furong smiled. "If your father has taken a liking to her, she can't be bad. She was ready for anything, even if it meant becoming a laughingstock. How absurd, a country bumpkin also thinks she can join the Shangguan family. Shangguan, she nodded, oh. Shangguan Furong continued, I heard that your Aunt Dia has a 1-year-old child. Are you excited or not, about having a little sister? A 1-year-old baby must be cute. Shangguan, she loved children, my good friend has a 1-year-old sister too, and she's so adorable. Shangguan, she was talking about little Ni Yun. She had seen little Ni Yun at Ni Yang's noodle shop and really liked her. Shangguan Furong went on vibrantly, your Aunt Dia is from the countryside. How could she compare with your friend? Have you seen rural children before? Dark and crying frequently, always drooling, with bubbly snot on their noses. How many rural kids can be good looking? Shangguan, she felt shivers down her spine listening to this. Ah? Really? Of course, aren't all rural children like that? Shangguan Furong continued, just let me tell you, you have to be mentally prepared. You can't dislike your Aunt Dia and future little sister, or else your father will definitely be angry at you. Chapter 622, Slapping Shangguan Furong _1 Shangguan, she initially held great expectations for Dia, whom she had not yet met, and her future little sister. Being told this by Shangguan Furong, her heart ached terribly. She was a little bit of a neat freak. And, I think you might be exaggerating a bit? Shangguan, she frowned slightly. Shangguan Furong chuckled, exaggerating? Wait until you see her in person, not everyone can be like your Aunt Lin Fong. Beautiful with a career. I'm just giving you a heads up, so you will be prepared. To save you from shocking our esteemed guest later. Su Lian was drinking her tea. Upon hearing this, she set down her cup and chimed in, you can't judge a book by its cover. Lin Fong may shine, but her character is lacking. True beauty lies within the soul. Xiaoxi, don't overthink things, you should trust your father's tastes. Su Lian was also curious as to what kind of woman this Dia was that Shangguan Dehui would pine for her for so long. Back when her sister Su Fan married Shangguan Dehui, Su Lian was completely against it. Because Shangguan Dehui did not love Su Fan. But the younger Su Lian had fallen in love with Shangguan Dehui at first sight and was determined to marry only him. Because of pressure from Lady Shangguan, Shangguan Dehui was reluctantly forced to marry Su Fan. Fortunately, after their marriage, Shangguan Dehui changed for the better, their marital life was harmonious. Sadly, Su Fan was not fortunate. 2 years after being married to Shangguan Dehui, she passed away. Since then Shangguan Dehui never remarried. Source, updated on Wuxia World. Site. S0 Su Lian knows that Shangguan Dehui still had Dia in his heart. But she never blamed Shangguan Dehui. Because Shangguan Dehui had fulfilled his responsibility towards Su Fan. And raised their 2 children to adulthood. It was about time he found his own happiness. After so many years, it was fate that Shangguan Dehui and Dia could meet again. If not, it would imply that Dia was a rather scheming person. Otherwise, they wouldn't have encountered each other again after so many years. As aunt of Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, Su Lian would never allow a cunning woman to become their stepmother. But she has not met Dia yet, so it wasn't right to jump to conclusions. Hearing Su Lian speak like this, Shangguan Shi felt a little better, but she was still nervous. If her little sister turned out to be a sloppy kid with a runny nose hanging from her face, she really couldn't stand it. Shangguan Furong laughed and said, Sister Su Lian, you are right, inner beauty is the most beautiful. Dia's heart must be beautiful, otherwise, my brother would not have liked her. After all, my brother is a college professor, and Dia is an illiterate peasant woman who's been herding cattle since she was a child, yet has 2 children of her own. The youngest one had been divorced while she was still in her confinement period after childbirth. Such a person must have a beautiful soul. These words seemed to praise Dia. In fact, they were derogatory. How could a good woman be divorced from her husband during her confinement period? How could an illiterate rural woman be worthy of her brother? After speaking, Shangguan Furong turned to Shangguan Shi. Xiaoxi, you young people always value common language, don't you? I think your dad and your Aunt Dia must have a lot in common. Shangguan Shi opened her mouth, not knowing how to respond to Shangguan Furong. The gap between Aunt Dia and her dad was too big. How could these two people possibly have a common language? That was terrifying. Brother. Shangguan Shi nudged Shangguan Su. He put down the newspaper in his hand. What is it? What's your take on this? As long as Dad is happy. Of course, a good match is also important. He is a bank president. How could his mother be an illiterate who cannot appear in public? It wouldn't sound good if word got out. If Aunt Dia was really uncouth, he wouldn't mind if his father kept her on the side. At this the worry in Shangguan Furong's heart subsided. It seemed that Shangguan Su also was not satisfied with this Dia. That was great. Lady Shangguan glanced at everyone. She had a plan in mind. The car was fast and soon arrived at the Shangguan residence. The Shangguan mansion was very luxurious, but it was nothing to Enai Tsuehua, who had seen private jets and castles in M country. If Enai Tsuehua were still the Enai Tsuehua who had just arrived in the city a year ago, she would have been stunned by now. Chapter 623, Slapping Shangguan Furong _2. But now, Enai Tsuehua, beautiful and gracious, her whole body exuding a confident aura, stood with Shangguan Dehui, making Shangguan Dehui seem somewhat mature in comparison. So, broadening one's horizons is indeed a very important thing. Shangguan Dehui, with little Enai Yun in his arms, led Enai Tsuehua and Enai Yang towards the inside. They encountered many servants greeting them along the way. Although Enai Yang knew that Shangguan Dehui was not an ordinary person, she never thought that the Shangguan family was that rich. They crossed the magnificent front hall and arrived in the living room. As soon as they heard footsteps, the others in the living room seemed somewhat impatient. However, Shangguan Furong was exceptionally calm, petting the pug in her arms with a smile at the corner of her mouth. That Dia is a coarse and vulgar rural woman, wasn't she? Why should they have any expectations for her? Shangguan Su was also calm, flipping through the newspaper in his hand with a half-hearted expression on his face. This way, Shangguan Dehui motioned with one hand while holding little Enai Yun. Enai Tsuehua and Enai Yang followed him in. Seeing Enai Yang enter, both Madame Shangguan and Shangguan Shi were stunned. Source, updated on Wuxia World. Site. So was Enai Yang here too? They were taken aback for a moment. Until Shangguan Dehui said, Mom. Sister, Furong, Xiaoxiu, Xiaoxi, this is Dia. This is Dia's daughter Enai Yang, and this is Dia's youngest daughter Enai Yun. Upon hearing the name Enai Yang, Shangguan Su froze. Was he hallucinating? He looked up and was even more astonished. He never expected that Enai Yang was Dia's daughter. Was he dreaming? Similarly, Madame Shangguan and Shangguan Shi were stunned too. Oh my God. Oh my God. What was going on? Yang, you are Aunt Dia's daughter? Shangguan Shi stood up, walked over to Enai Yang and held her hand. Cici. Enai Yang was also very surprised. Shangguan Shi laughed and said, He's my dad. Enai Yang had never imagined that Shangguan Dehui and Shangguan Shi were father and daughter. By this logic, Madame Shangguan and Shangguan Dehui were mother and son. This was too much of a coincidence. Madame Shangguan also stood up from her surprise. Yang. Madam. Enai Yang greeted with a smile. Madame Shangguan laughed and said, What madam? Too formal. You should call me grandma. She had always wanted a granddaughter as sensible and capable as Enai Yang, and she hadn't expected her dream to become a reality today. Shangguan Dehui looked at Shangguan Shi and Madame Shangguan, then at Enai Yang, and said incredulously, Mom, Cici, you know Yang? Madame Shangguan nodded repeatedly, We do know each other. Not only that, but Yang also saved me. Shangguan Dehui was somewhat confused about what was going on. Madame Shangwan explained what happened the day she fainted on the streets of Beijing. So the person who saved my mom was you, Yang Yang. Thank you so much. Madame Shangwan was old, and her heart wasn't very good either. If Ni Yang hadn't come to rescue her in time, they probably wouldn't be seeing Madame Shangwan by now. Shangwan Dehui had initially been worried about whether Madame Shangwan and Ni Yang and her mother could accept each other, but he hadn't expected that they already had this connection. Dehui, is this Daya? Madame Shangwan looked at Ni Tsuihua, next to Shangwan Dehui. Ni Tsuihua smiled and said, Auntie, I am Daya. Ni Tsuihua was not as Madame Shangwan had imagined her. Madame Shangwan thought Daya should be a heavily made-up vixen, otherwise she wouldn't have occupied Shangwan Dehui's thoughts for so long. But the Daya in front of her was elegant and dignified, beautiful with her own aura, and Madame Shangwan liked her at once. No wonder Ni Yang was so beautiful, she had a beautiful mother. And Ni Yang was so outstanding. If Ni Tsuehua were a person of poor character, she wouldn't have raised Ni Yang so well. For a moment, Madame Shangwan was delighted with Ni Tsuehua. Good, good. Madame Shangwan held Ni Kuihua's hand. Come sit here, this must be little Yunyun, right? Come, let me hold her. Ah, this child is so beautiful. Madame Shangwan took over little Ni Yun from Shangwan Dehui. Yunyun, call her grandma. Shangwan Dehui said. Grandma. Little Ni Yun was very sweet and not fearful of strangers, which made Madame Shangwan very happy. Shangwan Furong watched the scene before her, suddenly bewildered. Chapter 624, Slapping Shangwan Furong _3. What just happened? Isn't it that Madame Shangwan doesn't like Daya? Why is she so warm toward Daya? And also, wasn't Daya just an unsophisticated hick? Why is she dressed so respectfully? The youngest child is also pleasantly chubby, and doesn't have snot bubbles on his nose like the typical rural kid. What on earth is going on? And Daya's oldest daughter, she is just too attractive. She doesn't look like she came from the countryside at all. The worst part is that all three of them do not show any kind of familiarity toward me. Not at all like Lin Fong, who came and showered me with extravagant gifts. If these three really become part of the family, will I still have a say in the Shangwan family? The more Shangwan Furong thinks about it, the more unhappy she becomes. Luckily, she has a backup plan. Source, updated on. So it will be their turn to be embarrassed soon. Shangwan Dehui brought Ni Tsuehua to Su Lian and Shangwan Furong. Daya, let me introduce you, this is my sister, also the aunt of Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi, and this is my sister Furong. Ni Tsuehua has known of the existence of Su Lian for quite some time, so she wasn't surprised. The fact that Shangwan Dehui has cherished and respected Su Lian for so long after the death of his first wife just proves that Shangwan Dehui is a good man, compassionate and righteous. Sister, Furong. Su Lian's first impression of Ni Tsuehua was quite positive. Unlike the last time with Lin Fong, who clearly demonstrated her vulgar manners, Tsuehua maintained her elegant behavior as soon as she entered. There was absolutely nothing wrong with her conduct. Daya, nice to meet you. Su Lian stood up and initiated a handshake with Ni Tsuehua. Although Shangwan Furong is indignant with Ni Tsuehua, she didn't like to embarrass people on the spot. Besides, this person is a woman who holds a special place in Shangwan Dehui's heart. Pissing off Shangwan Dehui directly wouldn't benefit her in any way. After all, she still has a trump card at hand. She can't wait to see this rustic woman be embarrassed. Hello. Shangwan Dehui then said, this is my son Shangwan Su, this is my daughter Shangwan Shi. You can call them Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi. Shangwan Su and Shangwan Shi stood up from the sofa and greeted her proactively, hello, Aunt Daya. Hello. Looking at Shangwan Su and Shangwan Shi, Shangwan Dehui said, no need to introduce Yang Yang to you two, you already know each other. No need, no need. Shangwan Shi interlaced her arm with Ni Yang's, laughing, Yang Yang and I are already acquainted. Yang Yang, may I give you a tour around our house now? Shangguan she was absolutely thrilled. She never thought that her future sister would be Ni Yang and little Ni Yun. This is a perfect example of birds of a feather flocking together. Sure. Ni Yang nodded. Brother, would you like to join us? Shangguan she casually asked Shangguan Su. Unexpectedly, Shangguan Su actually put down the newspaper, saying, okay. Shangguan she was taken aback for a moment, but didn't say anything further. Want sister? Little Ni Yun reached out towards Ni Yang. Would it be fine if sis she holds you? Shangguan she reached out for little Ni Yun. Little Ni Yun seriously considered this, then nodded, okay. Yin Yun is such a good child. Shangguan she picked him up and planted a big kiss on his cheek. The group started to head towards the garden, and Madame Shangguan warned, be careful when you play and don't let Yin Yun get hurt. Got it, Grandma. Shangguan Furong, with an iron face, watched Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, her nephew and niece. Are they still her own flesh and blood? Being so kind to a stranger. Especially Shangguan Su, initially, he was discontented with Dia and her family, but then his attitude changed just like that. Shangguan Su disappointed her big time. While the group was chatting, Su Lian laughed and said, Dia, your skin is so well maintained. What skincare products do you use? Ni Tsuhua said, I use Bing Ji Yu Fu at home. Oh, I also brought a set for you and Furong. Ni Tsuhua took out the gift boxes of Bing Ji Yu Fu products and handed them to Su Lian and Shangguan Furong. Thank you. Su Lian accepted the gift box with both hands and gave Ni Tsuhua a red envelope in return. Ni Tsuhua immediately refused. Shangguan Dehui intervened at the side, since it's a gift from sister, you should accept it. It's not just a red envelope. It's also Su Lian's validation of Ni Tsuhua. Seeing Su Lian's satisfaction with Ni Tsuhua made Shangguan Dehui very happy. Thank you, sister. Ni Tsuhua accepted the red envelope. Holding the gift box of Bing Ji Yu Fu in her hands, Shangguan Furong said, I've been using Bing Ji Yu Fu's limited edition gift box recently and am their premium member. But how come I've never seen this packaging before? What's inside? Seaweed mask. Rose essential oil? I have never seen these products before. Chapter 625, Slapping Shangguan Furong _4. Is this the genuine product? Can someone like Ni Tsuhua, a rural woman, afford ice skin jade complexion? Keep in mind, a set of genuine ice skin jade complexion costs over 200 yuan. I am not sure if Ni Tsuhua can even earn that much in a year. Ni Tsuhua explained with a smile, this is a new model that was just released in September. It hasn't hit the market yet, and probably will be officially on sale in about 3 days. It's also a limited edition. Since it's a gift, it's natural to give something that people can't buy on the market, especially since their family is the manufacturer of ice skin jade complexion. To give common products as gifts wouldn't show sincerity. So, Ni Tsuhua chose the newly launched model. This new model contains high-grade rose essential oil, which is extremely valuable. Only 125 grams of rose essential oil can be extracted from a ton of roses. Therefore, this limited edition of ice skin jade complexion in new packaging is super expensive. Ni Yang's price is 580 yuan per set, and each store is limited to 30 sets per month. A new model released in September? Upon hearing this, Shangguan Furong had a mocking look in her eyes. This rural woman certainly knows how to boast. Source, updated on Wuxia Site. She even tries to fool her with this counterfeit product. Does she think Shangguan Furong is some poor, gullible relative from the countryside? That's hilarious. Shangguan Furong placed the gift box on the coffee table. I dare not accept such a valuable gift. Moreover, my skin is very sensitive. I've heard that there are many counterfeits on the market now, and my skin is particularly prone to allergies, so please keep this ice skin jade complexion for yourself. Enai Tsuihua responded with a faint smile, "Don't worry, Furong, this is definitely the genuine product." Shangguan Furong replied, "Dia, don't be offended by my frankness, but there are many swindlers these days. You are a country woman who just came to the city, so I'm worried you might have been conned." Furong. Madame Shangguan warned Furong with a look, then turned to Enai Tsuihua. "Dia, don't listen to her nonsense. She's just not recognizing the value of a golden jade. If she doesn't want it, I'll take it. My skin could use some maintenance too. Dia, you wouldn't mind giving it to me, would you?" Enai Tsuihua isn't silly, she knew that Shangguan Furong didn't like her. If Shangguan Furong chose to be ungrateful, then she shouldn't bother to be so eager to please her. "Of course not, if Auntie likes it, then it's yours." Dehui brings out another red gift box. "Mom, Dia also prepared a gift for you." "What is it?" Madame Shangguan took the box. Enai Tsuihua said, "It's a wild ginseng. Yang Yang found it while picking herbs on the mountain." Yang Yang said that stewed soup with this wild ginseng can soothe the mind, calm the spirit, stop palpitations, exorcise evil, brighten eyes, and improve wisdom. It's particularly good for the elderly. Under Yang Yang's guidance, Enai Tsuihua had learned a little bit about medicine. Madame Shangguan was quite happy. Yang Yang is truly a good girl. "Dia, you are lucky to have such an excellent granddaughter." "That's also true for me, being so fortunate to have such an outstanding granddaughter." For Madame Shangguan, it was like a dream come true. On the side, Furong was so angry that she almost pulled out Peach Blossom's fur. In reaction to Furong's annoyance, Peach Blossom jumped off her and ran away without looking back. Her mother is really dense. How did she get tricked by a rural woman? Wild ginseng? To her eyes, it's just a white radish. If she has to accept this rustic woman as her sister-in-law, she would refuse even 100, 1,000, or 10,000 times over. Shangguan Furong covered her mouth, feigning surprise. "One can dig wild ginseng on the mountain?" "Which mountain? Could you please tell me so I can also go and dig up a basket to give to others?" Shangguan Furong indeed intended to embarrass Enai Tsuihua. Enai Tsuihua was just a country bumpkin. Furong was curious about how Enai Tsuihua would respond. Enai Tsuihua replied with a smile, "Ginseng is incredibly spiritual. Only those with pure intentions will find it. Also, they burrow down to escape when being dug up, so people often tie a red string around them before digging. It's not something anyone can just dig up. If you want to dig up a basketful, Furong, it might be a bit difficult." Shangguan Furong's face turned slightly white. She's a smart woman. How could she not understand the sarcasm in Enai Tsuihua's words? Chapter 626, Slapping Shangguan Furong _5. She underestimated this rural woman. What angered Shangguan Furong more was the attitude of Shangguan Dehui and the Shangguan matriarch. One was her real mother, and one was her real brother. They did nothing as they watched her being mocked. The Shangguan matriarch wasn't angry at all. In fact, she was delighted with Enai Tsuihua's response. As a daughter-in-law of the Shangguan family, she should indeed be more dominating. A submissive attitude was not in line with the Shangguan family's style. This was how she could shoulder the heavy responsibility of a household's matriarch. Excellent. Excellent. She had misunderstood Dia before. Su Lian was also very pleased with Enai Tsuihua. Seeing that no one was coming to her aid, Shangguan Furong stood up from the couch. "You guys chat, I'll check on the kitchen." Upon reaching the kitchen, Shangguan Furong specifically ordered the chef to change all of today's dining procedures to Western style. Source, updated on. Ko in the living room, Enai Tsuihua, the Shangguan matriarch, and Su Lian were chatting harmoniously. Their exchanges were barrier-free. Shangguan she took Enai Yang and little Enai Yun around the house. She had even figured out that she wanted to leave that room for Enai Yang and little Enai Yun as their bedroom. Although little Enai Yun was only 1 year old, She weighed 30 pounds because of her sufficient nutrition and was so chubby that her arms were ringed. Shangguan she couldn't carry her after a while, so she let Shangguan Su hold her. Luckily, little Ni Yun also liked this big brother very much. He carried little Ni Yun, running back and forth behind them. Maybe on account of being a leader for a long time, Shangguan Su was somewhat serious and didn't really like children, but today, he was amused by little Ni Yun several times. The truth was, Shangguan Su didn't want to laugh in his heart. But he couldn't help it. Lunch started punctually at 11:30. Shangguan Furong led everyone to the dining room with a beaming smile. The thought of Ni Tsuehua making a fool of herself made her feel very delighted. "Come, Sister Dia, please have a seat." Shangguan Furong pulled Ni Tsuehua to sit down. Shangguan she smiled and pulled out a chair for Ni Yang. "Come Yang Yang, sit with me here. Let me hold Yun Yun, oh, how I love little Yun Yun." The Shangguan matriarch took little Ni Yun from Ni Tsuehua. After everyone was seated, the servants began to set the tableware. Soon after, the F country chef brought out the delicately cooked Western food. Shangguan Furong graciously tucked the napkin into her collar. "Sister Dia, this Western food was specially prepared to welcome you, made by the F country chef I invited to our home. Please, eat up, don't hesitate." As soon as she finished saying this, a servant put a bowl of lemon water in front of everyone, and the lemon water even had a few mint leaves floating in it. Shangguan Furong was waiting to see Ni Tsuehua make a fool of herself. She wondered if Ni Tsuehua would mistakenly drink this lemon water. Shangguan Furong had seen quite a few people ignorant of how to eat Western food and embarrass themselves in this way. If Ni Tsuehua did the same today, her first time meeting the parents, the Shangguan matriarch would be furious. The future daughter-in-law of the Shangguan family, not knowing Western dining etiquette, and if this news got out, wouldn't it humiliate the Shangguan matriarch? At that time, Ni Tsuehua would certainly be swept out of the door by the Shangguan matriarch. Just like the treatment of Lin Fong and her daughter. Knowing Shangguan Furong was waiting to see her make a fool of herself, Ni Tsuehua was in no hurry. Coolly she tucked the napkin into her collar, then reached her hand into the silver bowl, slowly washing her hands. She had eaten so much Western food in M country and got sick of it. How could Ni Tsuehua possibly not know Western dining etiquette? In addition to this, Ni Yang used to take her to various Japanese restaurants, Western-style restaurants, and H countries' cuisines when they were in their home country. After washing her hands, Ni Tsuehua picked up the knife and fork, elegantly cut a small piece of steak, and put it in her mouth to chew slowly. The whole process was graceful and charming. How was this like a naive rustic woman? Shangguan Furong's smile became forced. Her carefully prepared F-country banquet intended to make Ni Tsuehua embarrass herself failed. Instead Ni Tsuehua was extremely graceful. Then look at Ni Yang. Even though she was young, her manner of eating was very appealing, even more generous than bona fide socialite. Each of her expressions seemed especially attractive. Sitting next to Shangguan Shi, who was born in an illustrious family, it made Shangguan Shi seem rather ordinary. Even little Ni Yun, who was only a year old, knew to hold a fork in her left hand and a knife in her right hand. A group of country folks, how did they learn to eat Western food? Watching all this transpire before her eyes, Shangguan Furong suddenly felt like she had shot herself in the foot. Chapter 627, Slapping Shangguan Furong _6. It's so unbearable. It's just too unbearable. Shangguan Furong squinted her eyes. No, this won't do. She couldn't just give up this easily, so what if Ni Tsuehua has had Western food? Has she ever eaten snails? Snails require special tools to eat, you can't just take the meat out with a fork and knife. Shangguan Furong composed herself and pushed the plate of agate snails towards Ni Tsuehua. This steak is not seasoned well enough, Dia, try these snails. Generally, country folks haven't eaten snails, perhaps Ni Tsuehua will be taken aback. Ni Tsuehua smiled slightly, put down her fork and knife, picked up the special utensil for eating snails, elegantly picked up a snail, removed the meat from the shell, cut it piece by piece, dipped a tiny bit of wasabi on it, and put it in her mouth. The taste is quite good. Shangguan Furong was completely defeated this time. She sat in the chair, face pale as a sheet. After finishing the meal and staying at the Shangguan family's house for a while, Enai Tsuehua proposed to leave in the afternoon. It wasn't good to stay too long on the first day of visiting the Shangguan family. Source, updated on NOVG 0. C0, ah. You are leaving already? Shangguan's old madam, holding little Enai Yun, said unwillingly. Enai Tsuehua said, Auntie, it's getting late. We should go home. Don't forget to bring Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi to our house when you have time. Shangguan's old madam nodded repeatedly, of course. Enai Tsuehua continued, and Sister Su Lian and Sister Furong, you must remember to visit too. Even though Enai Tsuehua didn't like Shangguan Furong much, she had to be courteous at appropriate times. In the end, apart from Shangguan Furong, everyone in the Shangguan family was very nice. Su Lian nodded with a smile, we will definitely disturb you at that time. Shangguan Dehui escorted Enai Tsuehua home. Watching their retreating figures, a gratified smile appeared on Shangguan's old madam's face. Shangguan Furong said, Mother, it seems you are quite satisfied with Daya. Shangguan's old madam replied with a beaming smile, Daya is beautiful, well-tempered, and filial. Of course, I am satisfied. I can't wait for your brother to marry her immediately. Shangguan Furong took a deep breath, Mother, don't you think Daya is very cunning? Shangguan's old madam shook her head, Furong, it's you who has a problem, so it seems to you that others have problems when you look at them. Daya is good, she's precisely the daughter-in-law I want. No, she's even better than that. The old lady now has no complaints about Enai Tsuehua. She even felt very fortunate that Shangguan Dehui could meet Enai Tsuehua within his lifetime. What about you? Xiaoxiu, Xiaoxi, do you like Daya too? Shangguan Furong turned her head to look at Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi. Shangguan 11 said, Auntie Daya is a very nice person. Aunt Furong, how can you talk about her like that? Shangguan Su agreed with a nod, I also think Auntie Daya and Dad are a good match. Shangguan Furong continued, our Shangguan family is very wealthy. It's inevitable that some people with ulterior motives would deliberately get close to your dad, intending to seize the wealth of the Shangguan family. You two silly kids, don't be sold off by someone and even help them count the money. At the end, disappointment filled Shangguan Furong's face. I think Daya is not that kind of person. Su Lian said, the eyes are the window to the soul, there is no greed in Daya's eyes. Shangguan Shi laughed and held Shangguan Furong's hand, Aunt is right. Aunt Furong, you can relax. I've known Yang Yang for a long time now, I believe they are not that kind of people. Being sisters with Enai Yang is truly her honor. Shangguan Furong felt that Su Lian came intentionally to stir up trouble. Lin Fong was so outstanding, yet she didn't approve, instead favoring a rural woman. Shangguan Furong looked at Shangguan Su, Xiaoxiu, didn't you say before that the person who is with your dad should be from a well-matched family? Daya is just a small-time noodle seller, do you think she is good enough for your dad? Shangguan Su frowned, Aunt, you must be mistaken. I remember saying that I respect my dad's choices. And being a small business owner doesn't mean she's unworthy, I believe we should not discriminate against different professions. Shangguan Su spoke resolutely, as if he wasn't the one who disdained Daya as a coarse and uncultured rural woman in the morning. Shangguan Furong was shaking with anger. She had only the family's best interest in mind, but no one in the family understood her. Chapter 628, Slapping Shangguan Furong 7 Even good intentions are treated with contempt. Lady Shangguan looked at Shangguan Furong, Furong, come with me for a moment. A light flickered in Shangguan Furong's eyes. It was clear that Lady Shangguan had something to say to her, but the presence of many people made it difficult for her to speak. Perhaps she too dislikes Daya. Her behavior just now was probably just a pretense. Shangguan Furong followed Lady Shangguan's footsteps, filled with joy. The two of them entered the study. Furong, you dislike Daya, don't you? You feel that she doesn't take you seriously? Lady Shangguan was her mother and knew her better than anyone else. Shangguan Furong was simply too dominant, wanting to take charge of everything herself. Even after her marriage, she still wanted to meddle with her family's affairs. If her sister-in-law were sharper and more capable than she, then she would become uncomfortable and feel as though she had lost her place at home. Not only did Shangguan Furong wish to control the affairs of her family, but she had also taken complete control of her husband's family. For instance, if she wanted her husband to wear a blue outfit that day, then he could not wear red. Source, updated on Wuxia World. Site. So he must also like whatever food she enjoyed. If he liked a particular food and she didn't, she wouldn't even let him touch it. Both inside and outside the house, everything was well organized under her arrangement. Anyone who dared to defy her would immediately be met with a change of her face. She had a good heart, but was too domineering in dealing with matters, sometimes to an extreme extent. Shangguan Furong declared, "She has never taken me seriously in the first place. Respect is mutual. You have never shown her respect, so how can you expect her to respect you?" Lady Shangguan retorted. Shangguan Furong retorted, "Mom, after all, am I your daughter or is she your daughter?" Enai Tsuihua was nothing more than a village woman. The fact that she dignified herself to sit at the same table with Enai Tsuihua for dinner was more than enough to give Enai Tsuihua face. Lady Shangguan continued, "Furong, if you continue with this attitude, I'm going to say something unpleasant. You are a married woman. If you continue to stretch your hands this long, how can your brother live peacefully?" Shangguan Furong fell silent. "I just feel Daya is not good enough for my brother. She's also not good enough for our Shangguan family." Lady Shangguan persisted, "I think it is your brother who is not good enough for Daya." Shangguan Furong exclaimed in surprise, "Mother, have you gone mad? How could Shangguan Dehui be unworthy of a village woman?" Lady Shangguan replied, "I'm not mad. I'm clear-headed. Daya, including her daughter Yang Yang, are not ordinary people. They will certainly achieve great things in the future. Furong, sometimes, birth doesn't mean everything. The fact that you are living this life today is simply because you were born in a better condition than Daya. If your birth conditions had been the same, you might not even be as good as Daya is now." Lady Shangguan was a person who could see far into the future. Through today's interaction with Enai Tsuehua, she realized that Enai Tsuehua was an outstanding person, whose progress had been hindered by the painful experiences of her early life. Now that she had moved out of that quagmire, her future would undoubtedly be bright. The fact that Shangguan Dehui could be with her was the fortune of both him and the Shangguan family. What a joke! How could I possibly be inferior to her? She had a postgraduate degree, after all. Enai Tsuehua, on the other hand, was illiterate. They were incomparable in terms of educational level alone. Seeing that her daughter was not open to communication, Lady Shangguan helplessly said, "Fine, you can go. The reason I called you here separately was to tell you that I have accepted Daya as my daughter-in-law. If you continue to give her trouble in the future, don't blame me for being ruthless." This was one of the few times Lady Shangguan spoke harshly to her, and it was for an outsider. Shangguan Furong felt a little uncomfortable. She murmured, "Then, I'll leave first. How does she manage to be even worse than a country village woman?" "Wait a moment." The old Madame Shangguan called out to the retreating figure of Shangguan Furong. "What is it? Take this with you." The old Madame Shangguan pointed to the gift box of ice skin jade texture on the table. "It's Daya's heartfelt gesture after all." Shangguan Furong said, "Mom, do you still not understand why I don't like Daya? It's not only because of her lineage. It's also her behavior. It would have been fine if she had brought the real ice skin jade texture. But she dared to try to trick me with counterfeit goods. Does she think I'm their poor rural relative?" The old Madame Shangguan laughed. "Daya is not the kind of person who would present false goods. Didn't she say it? This is Ice Skin Jade Texture's new product, which hasn't been released to the market yet." "A new product?" Shangguan Furong sneered. can an ignorant village woman even get a hold of such an unreleased new product? She probably thinks she's the founder of Ice Skin Jade Texture. This kind of trick can only fool you and Su Lian. Indeed, Shangguan Furong did not believe that the Ice Skin Jade Texture brought by Anitsuehua was authentic. The old Madame Shangguan slightly frowned. That's enough. If you don't want it, fine. Don't just suspect others. To avoid disturbing Anitsuehua and Shangguan Dehui, Anai Yang decided to get off the car in the city center. She also had to go to school, because there was a Chinese exam in the afternoon. Shortly, only Anitsuehua, little Anai and Shangguan Dehui were left in the car. Anitsuehua, holding little Anai sat in the passenger seat. Shangguan Dehui reached out to touch Anai hand. Dia, Furong was pretty overbearing today. I'll talk to her when we get home, don't take it to heart. Anitsuehua shook her head. It's okay. She didn't get the upper hand over me. Anitsuehua was somewhat surprised Shangguan Dehui would actively address this issue. Normally in this situation, wouldn't an older brother instinctively defend his sister? But Shangguan Dehui didn't. Dia, thank you. Shangguan Dehui continued, Furong is strong-willed. If she does something wrong in the future, you don't need to consider my feelings. Say what needs to be said. She's the type who needs a scolding before she behaves. Anitsuehua laughed. Who ever heard of a big brother talking about his sister this way? Shangguan Dehui squeezed Anitsuehua's hand. I'm telling the truth. Do as I say, and she won't dare to bully you. In a separate mansion in Beijing, a pale-faced man leaned on the bed, holding something shiny in his hand. Ziki, have you found out which family the car belongs to yet? No, Wang Ziki shook his head. The man clenched his hand, as if he was trying to crush the object he was holding. Wang Ziki continued, Sir Du, please don't worry. We just came from Shanghai to Beijing, and we're not very familiar with the forces here. I have already ordered a thorough investigation. As soon as we have any leads, I will inform you. Sir Du was a force to be reckoned with in Shanghai. But after all, this was Beijing. Sir Du looked up at Wang Ziki. Ziki, I trust you. Please don't let me down. Wang Ziki straightened up. Sir Du, I promise I won't let your trust down. Sir Du waved his hand. Okay, you can go. Then, please rest well. Wang Ziki turned and left. On the other hand, Shangguan Furong returned home in a gloomy mood. Just when a girlfriend came over for a chat, she was holding a flyer. Furong, Furong. Did you know Ice Skin Jade Texture has come out with a new product? It's going on sale this Monday. We must get there early. Chapter 629, Regret It Now. _1 Shangguan Furong is a big fan of Ice Skin Jade beauty products. However, because many of their products are limited edition, she got herself a membership and opened a VIP service. Once you become a VIP client, whenever there are new products, the Ice Skin Jade Beauty headquarters will send promotional brochures to the VIP client in advance. Upon hearing this, Shangguan Furong expressed her surprise. Really? When did this happen? How come I didn't know? Look here, this is the promotional brochure they sent. Her friend handed her the flyer. Your mailbox should have one too, right? I'll check. Shangguan Furong went over to the mailbox and sure enough, she found the promotional brochure from Ice Skin Jade Beauty inside. Her friend continued, Furong, look, this new product includes rose essential oil. I specifically asked my aunt about it and she told me that rose essential oil is very rare. 1 ton of roses can only produce 100 grams of essential oil. Besides its beautifying effects, it also can calm premenstrual syndrome, regulate women's endocrine and menstrual cycles. The friend's name is Jiang Zhenjin, who is also a die-hard fan of Ice Skin Jade Beauty. Jiang Zhenjin's aunt is a doctor. What doctors say is completely trustworthy. Shangguan Furong's expression was priceless. Rose essential oil. And seaweed face masks. Source, updated on Wuxia World. Site. Could the gift box and Aitsuehua gave her actually be genuine? Furong, what's wrong? Jiang Zhenjin nudged Shangguan Furong. Shangguan Furong quickly snapped back to reality and chuckled, nothing. Aitsuehua is just a simple country girl. How could a country girl possibly have ice skin jade Bowtie's new item? It must be counterfeit. Thinking in this way, Shangguan Furong felt a lot more at ease. Jiang Zhenjin continued to say, Furong, tomorrow morning we have to go early and queue up. I heard they're only releasing 30 boxes of the new product every month. Shangguan Furong nodded. The next morning at 8 o'clock, both of them arrived at the nearest Ice Skin Jade beauty store. The mall only opens at 9 o'clock, but there were already people waiting outside the door. Upon asking around, it turned out these people were all here for the new items of Ice Skin Jade beauty. Looking at the crowd gathering together, Shangguan Furong frowned slightly and said to Jiang Zhenjin, Zhenjin, let's go back. Why? Jiang Zhenjin seemed puzzled. Shangguan Furong covered her nose and whispered, how can we queue up with these people? It's so beneath us. Jiang Zhenjin understood Shangguan Furong's thoughts and said with a smile, the new Ice Skin Jade beauty products cost over 500 yuan per box. Those standing here, their status is not inferior to ours. Who would want to show their faces in a queue at ordinary times? But who would refuse when their products are so good? If they ask their housemaids to buy it for them, they might not trust them as people are willing to offer multiples of the original price to buy it. Thinking about it, Shangguan Furong decided to wait with the crowd for the mall to open. Ultimately, they managed to wait until 9 o'clock, the mall opened, and the crowd surged in, more crazily than the old men and women scrambling for discounted items in the supermarket. Through the eyes of people who were oblivious to the situation, they would think that the Ice Skin Jade beauty products were cheap. Shangguan Furong cares greatly about her image, she did not wish to follow the crowd. Walking gracefully, she moved step by step towards the store. Seeing that Shangguan Furong would not let loose, Jiang Zhenjin couldn't wait any longer. Furong, you come along at your own pace. I'll go queue up in the front. As soon as the sentence finished, Jiang Zhenjin ran into the crowd, completely without any airs of an upper-class family. When Shangguan Furong arrived, the queue had become quite long. The new Ice Skin Jade beauty products were only limited to 30 boxes, not enough for everyone in such a large crowd. Therefore, the salesperson suggested that the remaining customers did not need to queue anymore. Jiang Zhenjin was lucky, as she got the last spot in the queue. Shangguan Furong quickly approached her and whispered, Zhenjin, dear Zhenjin, remember to spare me one box. I am going to have a look at their face cleansers and aloe gels. Jiang Zhenjin replied, are you daft? There's only 30 boxes of the new product, and we already have 30 people in line. What if there's an extra box today? Shangguan Furong did not give up. Jiang Zhenjin laughed and said, all right. If there is an extra one, I will surely get it for you. Only then did Shangguan Furong feel satisfied, turning around to go and choose other skincare products in the store. Chapter 630, Regret. _2. The booming business led to the increase of the store's staff from the initial 4 to 8. Furong, have you made your purchase? Jia Zhenjin was in a pretty good mood after buying the limited edition icy muslin jade skin. Zhenjin, did you buy any extra? Asked Shangguan Furong. Jia Zhenjin shook her head. No. Shangguan Furong sighed, show me what you bought. Although she didn't score any, a feast for the eyes is always nice. Jia Zhenjin handed the gift box to Shangguan Furong. The packaging of the new icy muslin jade skin is very elegant, and it's surprising that this box is exactly the same as the counterfeit that Aitsuehua gave her yesterday. What a coincidence. Shangguan Furong's face changed. Jia Zhenjin continued, Furong, this is rose essential oil, as the salesperson told me. You can add a few drops into your bathtub, or use it for aromatherapy and skin massage. And this is a seaweed mask, made with ingredients shipped from the deep sea near Guangguan. This mask is only available in the gift box. They don't sell it individually. Getting the limited edition new product made Jia Jinjin very happy. But Shangguan Furong wasn't so happy. Jinjin, do you think there could be counterfeit icy muslin jade skin out there, Wuxia World? Site, counterfeit? I doubt there is any. Jia Jinjin opened up the gift box and continued, look, all their product boxes have anti-fake labels. Where? Asked Shangguan Furong. Right here, look. You can only see it under the light. Do you see the letters New York? That's the anti-fake label. The founder of the icy muslin jade skin line was very smart. They made it so that the label disappears once the box is opened to prevent reuse. You can only see it when it's brand new. The New York letters sparkled under the light. With this explanation, Shangguan Furong felt somewhat relieved. She handed the box back to Jia Jinjin. Jinjin, I just remembered something I need to do. I'll leave first. I won't be going back with you. Jia Jinjin didn't have time to say anything before Shangguan Furong disappeared. Shangguan Furong rushed to the Shangguan family's house. Old lady Shangguan was sitting on the sofa reading a newspaper. Mom. Why are you in such a hurry? Old lady Shangguan put down the newspaper. Shangguan Furong asked immediately, where is that counterfeit product that Dia brought? What counterfeit product? Old lady Shangguan frowned in displeasure. Just then, a middle-aged woman walked in from outside. Sister. Yeshu is here. Old lady Shangguan stood up, smiling. Aunt. Though Zhao Yeshu was not much older than Shangguan Furong, she still had to properly address her as aunt. This was because she was old lady Shangguan's sister-in-law. Zhao Yeshu nodded. Sister, you said you had something nice for me over the phone. You wouldn't tell me what it was unless we met in person. Old lady Shangguan smiled. It's definitely a good thing for you young people. Stop beating around the bush. Zhao Yeshu sat down next to old lady Shangguan. Old lady Shangguan took a beautifully wrapped gift box from under the coffee table. Here, this is for you. Zhao Yeshu covered her mouth in disbelief. New icy muslin jade skin. Oh my goodness. I had my maid queue for it early this morning, but she arrived too late and couldn't get any. Sister, you really are my dear sister. Zhao Yeshu was so excited that she was almost incoherent. Sister, where did you get this? You're incredible. Old lady Shangguan laughed. This was brought by Dihui's daughter-in-law, Dia. She originally intended to give it to Furong, but she didn't want it. Hope you won't mind. Since they're all family, old lady Shangguan decided to tell the truth. Zhao Yeshu excitedly chimed in, what's there to mind? I'm more than delighted. I've been using icy muslin jade skin products for the last 6 months. When I heard from my maid that she failed to buy the new product, I was so upset. If Shangguan Furong didn't want it, it was her loss. Aunt, the icy muslin jade skin might be a fake. If you end up ruining your face, don't say I didn't warn you. Old lady Shangguan sighed and shook her head. This child is just too suspicious. Zhao Yeshu knew Shangguan Furong's personality well. She laughed and said, what's there to be afraid of? Doesn't icy muslin jade skin carry an anti-fake label? We can just open the package and check whether it's real or fake. Chapter 631, Regret It. _3. There's no need to check. Dia is not that kind of person, said the elderly Madame Shangguan. I think it's better to have a look for peace of mind. Shangguan Furong took the gift box and began to open the packaging. Zhao Yeshu didn't mind. As the wrapping came off, a triumphant light shone in Shangguan Furong's eyes. I told you this was a fake. We haven't even checked it out yet. How do you know it's a fake? Zhao Yeshu curiously queried. Shangguan Furong continued, Auntie, I also went to the ice crystal skin care store this morning. I wasn't that lucky, I didn't get the newly launched product. But my best friend who came with me did. Although these two gift boxes have the same exterior, their contents are completely different. Look at this rose essential oil. My friend's outer packaging is green, but this one is red. Same with the seaweed facial mask. The real mask comes in a white package, but you have a gold one. Shangguan Furong observed very carefully. This gift box was poles apart from the ones sold in the store. Zhao Yeshu said, maybe they changed the packaging. Furong, you can't declare something is fake just because the packaging is different. Check for a security label first. Zhao Yeshu is quite fond of ice crystal skin care. She didn't manage to get their latest product this morning and had been feeling bummed. Suddenly a surprise gift appeared, but now it was alleged to be a fake. It was quite a roller coaster for her. What a joke this was. Shangguan Furong picked up the rose essential oil, the most expensive item in the gift box, and held its packaging under the light for a closer look. Wuxia World. Sight after a while, she could see the letters New York gradually appear under the light and start to brighten. This was the unique security label of Ice Crystal Skin Care. The technology used was so advanced that no one could currently replicate it on the market. The grin on Shangguan Furong's face froze. It was real. The Ice Crystal Skin Care product was genuine. Heavens! Why then did its packaging differ from the others? Zhao Yeshu cried out in surprise, This is the Supreme Edition. Supreme Edition? What does that mean? Shangguan Furong asked, coming out of her shock. Zhao Yeshu explained, Supreme Edition means it's a luxury version. The Ice Crystal Skin Care membership card explains in detail. The Supreme Edition is even rarer than the limited edition. If there are 30 units of the limited edition, there will only be 3 of the Supreme Edition. Shangguan Furong had never read the membership card details carefully before, nor had she ever bought a Supreme Edition product, so she had no clue about this. Auntie, how did you know it's a Supreme Edition? She challenged. Look here. Zhao Yeshu pointed to the front of the security label. The label has Supreme printed on it. Who on earth is Daya to get hold of cosmetic products of the Supreme Edition? I've wanted to buy it for a long time but never managed to. Beauty lover Zhao Yeshu was absolutely ecstatic. Now she could show off among the ladies of other wealthy families. At their gatherings nowadays, it was not about comparing jewelry anymore, but who had more limited edition Ice Crystal Skin Care. The matriarch with more was the popular one in their circle. There had not been any appearances of the Supreme Edition Ice Crystal Skin Care yet. The elderly Madame Shangguan was a bit lost, so, is this real or fake? Zhao Yeshu laughed, of course it's real. Moreover, it's the most difficult kind to find. Besides, who would give fake goods as gifts? That's like shooting oneself in the foot. The elderly Madame Shangguan nodded repeatedly. I told you, Daya is not that kind of person. Sister-in-law, who exactly is Daya? Zhao Yeshu was bursting with curiosity. How come this person can give away something she herself, who is from a wealthy family, can't even buy? And 2 boxes at that. Just a self-employed noodle seller who came from the countryside to Beijing. Shangguan Furong replied with some frustration. She too was intrigued. How could a self-employed vendor afford such things? Of course, there is another reason why Shangguan Furong said that. She hoped Zhao Yeshu would reject the Ice Crystal Skin Care. With Zhao Yeshu's status, she would look down on a gift from a self-employed vendor, wouldn't she? If Zhao Yeshu were to refuse, the skin care would return to her. Chapter 632, Regret It Now. _4. If Jia Zhenjin was happy with getting the standard version of Ice Skin Jade complexion, she would surely die of envy knowing that I have the Supreme Edition. Though Shangguan Furong could be a bit dominant, she did have some smarts. However, Zhao Yeshu completely ignored Shangguan Furong's implied intent and looked at the old Shangguan lady, saying, I feel you must be quite satisfied with Daya, aren't you? If she had followed Shangguan Furong's lead, that would have been foolish. Who wouldn't want such an excellent product like Ice Skin Jade complexion? Satisfied. The old Shangguan lady nodded her head repeatedly, very satisfied. Then when are you planning to settle this matter? It's not easy to find a good woman these days. Since Dehui and her have such good karma, it's better to settle things down earlier for peace of mind, Zhao Yeshu continued. Though she had never met Daya in person, her impression of Daya was quite good. So what if she comes from a rural area? Even a girl from the countryside managed to get hold of the Supreme Edition Ice Skin Jade complexion. For the people in their elite circle, even the standard version was out of reach. The old Shangguan lady proceeded to say, that will depend on Dehui and Daya's intentions. That she was older and some decisions should be made by the young people. Meddling too much could be bad. Things will straighten out naturally when they are supposed to. Moreover, Shangguan Dehui is probably quite in a rush for this matter even if she isn't. Wuxia world. Sight Zhao Yeshu nodded, that's right, this matter depends on the two main characters. I must stop imposing now, sister-in-law. I have things to attend to at home. Thank you for the ice skin jade complexion. I should head back. With that, Zhao Yeshu took the gift box from Shangguan Furong's hands. Furong, visit me when you got the time. Looking at Shangguan Furong, it seemed that she didn't want to part with the Supreme Edition of Ice Skin Jade complexion. If she didn't leave now, she might not get the chance to later. Zhao Yeshu wasn't a fool. When the box left Shangguan Furong's hands, her heart also went empty. The Supreme Edition Ice Skin Jade complexion. It was originally hers. In just the blink of an eye, it became someone else's. Aunt. Shangguan Furong stood up, staring at the ice skin jade complexion in Zhao Yeshu's hand. Furong, is there something else? Zhao Yeshu turned to look at Shangguan Furong, pretending not to understand the implication in Shangguan Furong's eyes. Aunt, that ice skin jade complexion, Zhao Yeshu smiled and said, Furong, don't worry, I will use it well. I won't stay to bother you. I need to leave now. With that, she quickly left the Shangguan's home, afraid that Shangguan Furong might snatch the ice skin jade complexion from her hand. Shangguan Furong fell despondently onto the sofa, her face extremely unpleasant. The old Shangguan woman asked in confusion, what happened? Shangguan Furong turned to the old Shangguan woman, complaining, how could you give the ice skin jade complexion to my aunt? Do you know how much effort it took me to get the Supreme Edition? I woke up at 7 this morning, arrived at the mall at 8, and couldn't get even a standard version. You even gave away my thing without telling me. Shangguan Furong was upset. How could it be like this? That was her thing. Old lady Shangguan looked up at Shangguan Furong. Didn't you say that the ice skin jade complexion was fake? What? You regret it now? Shangguan Furong was taken aback. Even if it is a fake, you can't just give it to someone else. The old Shangguan woman calmly turned a page of her newspaper. It doesn't matter since the one whose face will be ruined isn't you. Why are you so worried? Old lady Shangguan did this on purpose. She wanted to irritate Shangguan Furong. Otherwise, she would forever remain ungrateful. Shangguan Furong started to argue. I said it would ruin her face, but I didn't say I don't want it. I may be old, but my memory isn't failing. If I remember correctly, you directly refused Dai yesterday morning, didn't you? Ah. Shangguan Furong's regret made her want to retch. Old Madame Shangguan continued, Furong, I have told you many times not to judge people by their appearance and background. You never break this habit. Also, you really need to change your domineering attitude, or else who will be able to tolerate you in the future? As long as Zhao Shen can tolerate me, it's enough. Shangguan Furong was vexed. Why do you care so much? I'm leaving now. Zhao Shen was Shangguan Furong's husband, normally under her tight control. In private, Zhao Shen had complained to the old Shangguan woman countless times. Chapter 633, Regret It Now. _5. Lady Shangguan felt deep sympathy for her honest and obedient son-in-law. She intended to aid Zhao Shen, but she had no control over her daughter at all. Lady Shangguan watched Shangguan Furong's retreating figure, shaking her head helplessly. Shangguan Furong returned to the Zhao house, fuming with rage. Furong, you're back. Zhao Shen immediately rose from the sofa. Pour me a cup of tea. Oh, all right. Zhao Shen immediately poured Shangguan Furong a cup of tea. After taking one sip, Shangguan Furong immediately spat the tea back out. Zhao Shen. Are you deliberately trying to irritate me? Didn't I tell you already, I don't like pure tea. I want Biluakun tea. Biluakun tea. What part of that do you not understand? Shangguan Furong was already seething with anger, and Zhao Shen, the perennial scapegoat, was an easy target. Zhao Shen immediately trembled with fear, and quickly fetched a tissue to wipe Shangguan Furong's mouth. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was going to drink this pure tea myself. I poured the wrong pot. I'll pour you another one. Zhao Shen, exclaimed Shangguan Furong. She slammed her teacup onto the tea table. How many times have I told you? You are not allowed to drink pure tea either. There shouldn't be any pure tea in this house. Who allowed you to buy it? Who gave you the permission? Are you trying to rebel? Furong, I'm sorry, I won't dare to do it again next time. Zhao Shen, the strange man, preferred black and red teas like pure, but Shangguan Furong only liked green tea, and only drank green tea. And so, the conflict escalated. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight. Ko Shangguan Furong, too furious to speak, picked up the teapot and smashed it to the ground, pointing at the shards, kneel down. Zhao Shen, I've finally realized. Unless I make you suffer a bit, you will never remember my rules. Zhao Shen's mother emerged from the inner room, looking at her dominating and overbearing daughter-in-law, too stunned to speak. Zhao Shen was a pushover, and he knelt down when Shangguan Furong ordered him to do so. Those were sharp shards. How could anyone kneel on them without getting hurt? Zhao Shen's mother frowned out of concern. But there was nothing she could do about it. Who could be blamed when her son was so spineless? Just then, the butler came to inform, Madam, Miss Jia is here. Shangguan Furong turned to Zhao Shen, go kneel in the room. All right, Furong, don't be angry. You know what the books say, anger can make you age faster. Zhao Shen quickly made his way toward the bedroom. Soon after, Jia Jinjin entered from outside. Furong. Jinjin. Shangguan Furong greeted, smiling. Furong, what happened to you at the mall? Why did you just leave suddenly? Jia Jinjin asked, concerned. Shangguan Furong replied, it's nothing. Of course, she couldn't say that she had missed out on the supreme edition of the Ice Skin Jade Cream. All thanks to the old lady Shangguan. And Dia. Surely she did it on purpose. If she had just said earlier that this was the supreme edition of Ice Skin Jade Cream, there wouldn't have been this misunderstanding, right? Rural people will always remain rural people, and could never step into the spotlight. Even though she had taken her anger out on Zhao Shen just now, Shangguan Furong was still livid. Jia Jinjin glanced at the shattered pieces on the floor and whispered, did you have another fight with Ziking's dad? Ziqing was Shangguan Furong's eldest daughter, 9 years old. Shangguan Furong grumbled, he's as useless as trash. He's not even comparable to Mo Qishan. Jia Jinjin tugged at Shangguan Furong's sleeve, signaling for her to lower her voice. Shangguan Furong retorted, what's there to be afraid of? I didn't say anything wrong. Ultimately, the head of the Shangguan household was her. Who would dare to do anything to her? Be they young or old, everyone had to live by her rules. Jia Jinjin pulled Shangguan Furong to the sofa and whispered, Furong, you should really keep your temper in check. Despite everything, Ziking's dad is a man, and he has his own dignity. If you keep this up, aren't you afraid that he might retaliate one day? Jia Jinjin had known Shangguan Furong for many years now, and she was very familiar with her temper. Too hot-tempered and too domineering. Furong, some truthful words are unpleasant to hear. At her words, Shangguan Furong's expression changed. She nodded slowly. I get it. Jia Zhenzhen knew it wasn't a good time to stay around, so she said, knowing you're okay puts my mind at ease. I'll get going then. Shangguan Furong nodded. School. Ni Yang had an exam in Chinese yesterday afternoon. Today, she was scheduled for math and English exams. She arrived at the campus right when the classes had just been dismissed. Ni Yang was dressed in a blue and white school uniform, holding a few books. As she strolled down the path shaded by camphor trees, she attracted the attention of quite a few students who stopped to watch. Chapter 634, Regret It Now. _6. Oh my God. She's beyond beautiful. Even some girls couldn't help but exclaim. That's Ni Yang, isn't it? Yes, that's her, Ni Yang from class 5. I heard she's super talented. She doesn't need to attend classes and only comes for exams. She's incredible. Ni Yang is so pretty, I would be satisfied if I were half as pretty as her. Ni Yang seemed to have not heard the discussions around her, her face impassive. If it were many years ago when she heard such words, she would have felt somewhat thrilled. With more experiences, she became indifferent. Ni Yang. A figure dashed from behind towards her. Ni Yang turned to look and saw it was Li Wei. Ni Yang paused. If she remembered correctly, hadn't Li Wei already graduated? Surprised to see me? Changes during the puberty can be pretty fast. After not seeing him for a long summer break, Li Wei seemed to have grown much taller and his voice had deepened. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight. Ko Ni Yang nodded, quite surprised. Didn't you graduate already? Li Wei chuckled. It seems you do care about me. Ni Yang, Li Wei continued, I was joking with you. I didn't do well in college entrance exam, so I chose to repeat a year. I'm now in class 8. Oh. Ni Yang nodded, I see. Brother away. Zhou Xuemei caught up from behind. Li Wei seemed somewhat reluctant to let Ni Yang see how close he was with Zhou Xuemei. He just nodded coolly. Zhou Xuemei's expression darkened slightly. Li Wei continued, the exam is about to begin. How's your preparation, Ni Yang? It's going well. Ni Yang nodded. After a pause, she added, I need to leave now, I have something to do. After finishing, she ran off in the direction of the teaching building. It seems like Ni Yang doesn't like me. Zhou Xuemei complained. Li Wei added, maybe you misunderstood Ni Yang? She's actually quite nice. Having heard that, Zhou Xuemei felt even more aggrieved. She and Li Wei were childhood friends, but ever since the arrival of Ni Yang, it seemed like Li Wei wasn't as enthusiastic about her anymore. She had to study hard. Surpass Ni Yang academically. Make Li Wei take notice of her. Zhou Xuemei made a fist in determination. The two of them proceeded towards the teaching building, each lost in their thoughts. At 1:30 in the afternoon, the monthly exam officially began. As soon as Ni Yang started her math paper, she felt a familiar pain in her abdomen. Could this be happening? Ni Yang frowned slightly. She had been so busy recently that she had lost track of the days. It seemed like her period was due today. During menstruation a woman's body tends to be at its weakest, Ni Yang was no exception, and on top of that, she suffered from severe period pain. Despite having taken several medicines with no effect, Ni Yang simply gave up being treated. After all, the pain only lasts for a day or two. This probably explains why they say doctors can't cure themselves. She didn't have any sanitary napkins on her, and she was in the examination room with 2 male invigilators. If she tried to bear the pain, it could end up in a bloodbath. After several seconds of hesitation, Ni Yang raised her hand. What's wrong, student Ni Yang? Although the invigilator wasn't from her class, Ni Yang was quite well known at school, it would be hard not to know her. Teacher, I have a stomachache, can I take a leave? Once these words were spoken, everyone in the examination room turned curious or concerned eyes towards Ni Young. The invigilator hesitated a moment, then said, "Can you hold on for a bit longer, Ni Young?" "Probably not." Regarding student health as the top priority, the invigilator continued, "In that case, you can go. I'll speak to your class teacher for you." "Thank you, Teacher Sun." Ni Young bent to thank the teacher, picked up her draft paper and pencil box, and walked towards the classroom exit. As soon as Ni Young left, Teacher Sun came to pick up the test paper from her table. Seeing this, the other teacher immediately came over. "How's the dark horse performing?" Behind the scenes, everyone referred Ni Young as the dark horse instead of calling her by her name. "It's only been 20 minutes and she's completed half of it, all correct." Teacher Sun handed the test paper to him. "Why can't such a brilliant student be in our class?" The other teacher also sighed. After Ni Young left the classroom, she first went to the restroom, using tissue paper as a temporary fix, then she took off her school uniform, tied it around her waist, and quickly rode her bike to the supermarket. Chapter 635, Regret It Now. _7 In the lunar month of October, Ni Young was only wearing a white knit sweater. A light breeze carried a touch of chill, and combined with her monthly cycle, Ni Young looked a bit pale. Before the 1980s, there were no menstrual pads in China. In 1984, menstrual pads had only recently been introduced to China. Before the 1980s, everyone used cloth menstrual belts. A menstrual belt was a strip of cloth sewn together. Most households kept two, one to be worn and one for washing, during the menstrual cycle. Although menstrual pads had been introduced to China, the vast majority still used menstrual belts. That was because a pack of menstrual pads cost 8 or 9 yuan, but at that time, people's monthly salary was only about 30-something yuan, which made them unaffordable. And because sales were low, very few stores sold them. You had to go to specific stores. Ni Young did buy quite a few for home use. But now she was in the city. Ni Young quickened her pace. She must hurry. Just then, a luxurious car suddenly stopped in front of Ni Young. Wuxia World. Sight ordinarily, Ni Young would definitely think that this car looked familiar, but today, she suddenly felt irritable. Whose damn car was this? How impolite. Didn't they realize she was in a hurry? Just as Ni Young was about to lose her temper, the driver's window rolled down, and Wu Daming's excited face appeared. Sister-in-law. Sister-in-law. Before Ni Young could react, the back car door was pushed open from inside, and a long leg came into view first. Following the line of the leg upward, a clear-cut face came into view. Brother Mo. The anger within Ni Young vanished instantly. Yang. Mo Chishan walked over and gathered Ni Young into his arms. "It's so cold out, why are you dressed so lightly?" As he spoke, Mo Chishan took off his dark blue trench coat and wrapped it around Ni Young. The trench coat wasn't thick but carried a warm body temperature, along with a faint scent of smoke, giving an inexplicably reassuring feeling. "When did you get back, Brother Mo?" Ni Young looked up at Mo Chishan. Mo Chishan was bending over, busily buttoning the coat. "Just got off the plane." He had originally planned to surprise Ni Young, but after bumping into her on the street, Mo Chishan couldn't control himself anymore. Just then, Ni Young felt another wave of pain from within her body. She grasped Mo Chishan's arm. Brother Mo, I gotta go, I need to make a trip to the store." What if she really bled profusely? "I'll have Wu Daming drive you there." "It's too cold to ride a bike." "Look how pale your face is." Mo Chishan reached out to pinch her face. Not only pale but also icy cold. Ni Young hesitated for a second and then nodded. "All right." Wu Daming efficiently shoved the bike into the trunk. Ni Young and Mo Chishan got into the back seat. Yang, are you not feeling well?" Mo Chishan tightly clasped Ni Yang's hand, finding that it was not warming up despite his efforts. "No, I'm okay," Ni Young shook her head, just drive me to the store up ahead. How was she supposed to tell him about this? Seeing Anai Yang's hand resting on her belly, her face pale, her hands and feet freezing cold, Mo Qishan quickly concluded what was happening and told Wu Daming, who was at the driver's seat, Daming, speed up. The car quickly reached the store. Anai Yang immediately leaned over to get out of the car, but was held back by Mo Qishan. Stay in the car, I'll go. Anai Yang slightly frowned. Do you know what I need to buy? Mo Qishan's ears reddened for a moment. Yes. Are you sure you do? Mo Qishan's ears turned even redder. Anai Yang's ears turned red as well. Oh my goodness. Could he possibly know what she was talking about? Wu Daming curiously turned his head. Brother 6, sister-in-law, what kind of riddle are you playing? What's all this talk about knowing or not knowing? You'll understand when you have a girlfriend. Mo Qishan looked up at Wu Daming. Wu Daming, yet another day being fed with dog food. I'll be right over. Mo Qishan closed the car door. Inside the store, Mo Qishan pointed to the red jar on the counter. I'll take that one. Most of the menstrual pads at this time were jar-packed. The salesgirl was a young lady. She had hardly seen any man buying these, and her cheeks turned red too. She asked, Comrade, is this it? Mo Qishan first nodded, then shook his head. Give me the best one. Oh my goodness. Whose husband is this? So considerate. How about this imported one then? It's 18 yuan. Is this the best one? Mo Qishan asked. Yes. The sales clerk nodded. I'll take this one. The salesgirl was really excited. Whose husband is this considerate, willing to buy such expensive sanitary pads? After choosing the sanitary pads, Mo Qishan then went to the clothing store next door and bought a set of new clothes. Only then did he return to the car, stuffed the things into Anai Yang's arms, and then directed Wu Daming to proceed to Wanqing Villa. Anai Yang blushed as she glanced at the stuff in the bag. He didn't buy the wrong one. How did he figure it out? Anai Yang tugged at Mo Qishan's sleeve, whispering, I need to go to the bathroom. Mo Qishan nodded, I know. Don't worry, we'll be there soon. Soon, the car stopped in front of a beautiful villa. Mo Qishan got out of the car first and opened the door for Anai Yang. The moment Anai Yang stepped out of the car, she was scooped up in the arms of Mo Qishan. Anai Yang, who was caught off guard, let out a gasp and quickly wrapped her arms around Mo Qishan's neck. Put me down quickly. No. Mo Qishan turned to Wu Daming. Daming, you can leave first. Okay, brother 6, remember to call me if you need anything. Wu Daming pointed to the pager in his pocket. Mo Qishan nodded, then carried Anai Yang into the villa. Brother Mo, I can walk on my own. Are you sure? Mo Qishan glanced at her abdomen. Anai Yang, crap. Although Mo Qishan doesn't stay in this villa often, it's regularly cleaned by someone. The interior was very clean. Mo Qishan led Anai Yang to the master bedroom, single-handedly pulled open the bathroom door, put Anai Yang down and said, There are new toiletries inside, I am outside, remember to call me if you need anything. Anai Yang nodded, reaching out to close the bathroom door. Soon, there were sounds of splashing water coming from inside. Mo Qishan sat on the sofa in the living room, and in no time, there were a few cigarette butts in the ashtray. Anai Yang stayed in there quite a while. She washed her clothes and put them in the bag that used to hold her new clothes. Just as she came out of the bathroom, she saw Mo Qishan coming over with a bowl. Yang, get to the bed and rest. Drink this Angelica brown sugar water first. Anai Yang squinted her eyes, took a step forward, stood on a higher step than Mo Qishan, and reached up to rest her hand on his shoulder. Tell me, do you often flirt with ladies like this? Confess, it's less severe to confess than to resist. Young lady? Mo Qishan was taken aback. My oldest sister is 22 years older than me, my second sister is 18 years older than me, I don't have a younger sister. Chapter 636, To Get Rich, First Build Roads. _1, pft. N.I. Yang couldn't help but burst into laughter. Brother Mo, are you genuinely clueless or are you pretending? Mo Chishan said, I genuinely don't have a little sister. N.I. Yang explained, the little sister I'm referring to is different from the one you're imagining. In this context, it's someone you're fond of, someone you yearn for when you don't see them for just a day. Men from the 80s had a bit of chauvinistic mindset, and sex education hadn't been popularized yet. It was rare for a man to understand a woman's needs so well. Yet Mo Chishan knew to buy sanitary pads, laundry items, and even knew about Angelica Brown's sugar water. It was clear he had experience doing such things. There is a beauty, unforgettable at first sight. If I don't see her for a day, I'll be consumed by thoughts of her. Mo Chishan casually placed the bowl on the side table, taking the initiative by pulling N.I. Yang into his arms. Yang, you are my little sister. N.I. Yang froze for a moment but then leaned into his embrace. The simple hug lasted for about 2 minutes. Then Mo Chishan let go of N.I. Yang and nudged her onto the sofa. Hurry up and drink the sweet soup before it cools down. N.I. Yang took the porcelain bowl. And to think you claimed you hadn't courted other little sisters before, Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight. My sense of smell is naturally sharper than others, Mo Chishan explained, and this. I asked Aunt Lisa, our cleaning lady. His face turned red as he spoke. It was his first time ever, asking such questions. Even Aunt Lisa was taken aback. While N.I. Yang was bathing, Aunt Lisa kept stealing glances, curious to see what the girl who had charmed their master looked like. Really? N.I. Yang was skeptical. Really? Mo Chishan held up 3 fingers. Boss, I swear, you're the only little sister I've ever had. N.I. Yang took a sip of the Angelica Brown sugar water. Then I guess I'll reluctantly believe you this time. Yang, do you want to rest a bit on the bed? Mo Chishan asked next. No need. Perhaps because of the Angelica Brown sugar water, N.I. Yang didn't feel any abdominal pain today. It's getting late, I should head back. She had been in the bathroom for an hour. Combined with the time she spent on the road, it was already after 5 in the afternoon. The sunset streamed in through the window, bathing the room in a golden glow. It was beautiful and peaceful. Leaving so early? Mo Chishan reached for the empty bowl. It's already past 5. N.I. Yang pointed to the clock on the wall. Mo Chishan picked up his coat, casually draping it over his body. Then I'll escort you home. No need, I can take a taxi back. You should go home and check in. I'm sure your parents are waiting for you. N.I. Yang said. Mo Chishan laughed. They don't know I'm back today. Come on, I'll take you. All right. N.I. Yang nodded. Just as they were about to leave, Aunt Lisa came in to pick up the empty bowl. Aunt Lisa, this is Miss N.I. Mo Chishan introduced. Aunt Lisa, a blonde, blue-eyed woman from M country. To be accurate, aside from Wu Daming, everyone around Mo Chishan was a foreigner. Looking at N.I. Yang, Aunt Lisa's eyes gleamed with appreciation. Hello, Miss N.I. My God. This Eastern girl is too pretty. No wonder our master is so smitten with her. Hello, Aunt Lisa. N.I. Yang greeted her warmly. Though she was beautiful, she didn't come off as aloof. She gave off a friendly vibe, unlike some who strutted around with an arrogant attitude because of their looks and talent. Mo Chishan escorted N.I. Yang out of the villa. Somehow, Wu Daming was already waiting outside the villa gate. On seeing Mo Chishan and N.I. Yang approach, he immediately opened the car door. Brother 6, sister-in-law 6. Go to your sister-in-law's house, Mo Chishan responded gruffly. Okay. Wu Daming was a skilled driver, and they soon arrived at the entrance of Jinghua village. The roads in Jinghua village weren't great, and the sedan had a low ground clearance, so it couldn't be driven in. They had to park outside the village. Wu Daming said, Sister-in-law, didn't I hear you bought a place in the city? Yeah. N.I. Yang nodded. Wu Daming continued, then why haven't you moved in? City commute is so convenient. It'll take at least 10 minutes to walk from here to your house. Chapter 637, To Get Rich, Build the Road First. _2. Ni Yang said with a smile, the city is too noisy. The countryside is more serene. It's a good opportunity to get some exercise on the walk home. Even though the city was bustling, Ni Yang felt no sense of belonging there. She had a fondness for the countryside. However, Wu Daming's words reminded her of something. Wu Daming further said, Sixth sister-in-law, I heard you've been investing in real estate. How many properties have you bought in the city? Ni Yang thought for a moment, probably more than 20. I've lost count. Having too many houses brought its own troubles. Wu Daming swallowed hard, then gave Ni Yang a thumbs up. Indeed, family members are all alike. He had assumed that only Mo Chishan was foolishly buying so many houses. He didn't expect Ni Yang to have done the same. Houses couldn't be eaten, what was the point of buying so many? When the time came, they would surely regret it if they got stuck with them. Ni Yang smiled faintly and turned to look at Mo Chishan. Brother Mo, I think I'll head home first. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight. Wait a moment. Mo Chishan held her hand. What is it? Ni Yang looked back at him. Mo Chishan said, we're at your home's doorstep. I should, of course, pay Auntie a visit. He prided himself on being a good son-in-law. Wu Daming hurriedly opened the trunk and took out the gifts he had prepared in advance. Sixth brother, here you go. Mo Chishan, holding Ni Yang's hand with one hand and taking the gifts with the other, said, Daming, you can head back first. Come and pick me up around 8 or 9. All right. Wu Daming nodded. Hand in hand, Mo Chishan and Ni Yang headed towards the Ni family home. Even though night had fallen, they still encountered quite a few villagers. Mo Chishan was a very polite young man and greeted everyone they met. Ni Tsuihua was cooking in the kitchen. They were having a hot pot dinner that evening, and the aroma of stir-fried hot pot base wafted through the yard. Upon seeing Mo Chishan, Ni Tsuihua expressed her surprise. Xiaoma, when did you come back? Mo Chishan replied, Auntie, I took the 1 o'clock flight this afternoon. Ni Tsuihua nodded. The hot pot was a double flavor pot. Ni Yang, who always had a liking for spicy food, looked at the red pot while nibbling at the clear broth pot to satisfy her cravings. Fortunately, the soup base of the clear hot pot was also very flavorful. Hot pot was an ideal dish for cold weather, and it wasn't long before beads of sweat formed on Ni Yang's nose tip. Xiaoma, are you free on the 18th? Ni Tsuihua looked at Mo Chishan. Auntie, do you need something? Mo Chishan curiously looked at Ni Tsuihua. Even Ni Yang was slightly curious. Ni Chinggui bit into a large fish ball and chimed in, something good is coming. Auntie and I, what good thing? Ni Yang asked. Ni Chinggui just chuckled without saying anything, continuing to eat his vegetables. Ni Tsuihua went on to say, your uncle Shengguan told me today that they will be coming over for a visit on the 18th. Mo Chishan also seemed to understand something and immediately nodded, I'll be free, Auntie. I've been quite idle recently. Ni Tsuihua said with a smile, since you're free, come over that day, Xiaoma. And meet more people. Okay. Mo Chishan nodded. After dinner, Ni Yang escorted Mo Chishan home. But she was only responsible for sending him to the edge of the village. Yang, who is this Uncle Shengguan? Mo Chishan didn't have the heart to ask at the dinner table. Ni Yang replied, Uncle Shengguan is my mom's boyfriend. His full name is Shengguan Dehui. Mo Chishan was momentarily shocked. He didn't expect that Ni Tsuihua would have found a companion so quickly. It seemed that the meeting on the 18th definitely had the implication of acknowledging relatives. The fact that Ni Tsuihua invited him to join meant that she didn't see him as an outsider. The corners of Mo Kishin's mouth involuntarily curled up in a smile. That's a good thing. Auntie is still young, she should have a companion. Mo Kishin held N.I. Yang's hand tighter. N.I. Yang nodded with a smile. Yes, I know. A normal child, upon learning her mother was seeking another companion, would generally have some reservations and need to confide this to someone. But not N.I. Yang. She truly wished for N.I. Quihua's happiness. That's why Mo Kishin was so fond of her. Because he believed that there was no one else in this world more understanding than her. Being with her could make a person feel utterly relaxed. Upon returning home, N.I. Yang didn't immediately lie down on the bed. Instead, she sat at her desk, completely engrossed in sketching out a design. The next day, N.I. Yang went to the bank to check her balance. After returning home, she went to the village chief's house. N.I. Yang was quite popular in Jinghua village, and this was no exception at the village chief's home. Village chief Li received her warmly. He brought out the tea leaves that were usually only brewed for festivals and special occasions. Chapter 638, To Get Rich, First Build Roads. _3. N.I. Yang stood up, took the teacup handed over by the village chief, and said, "You really don't have to be so polite, village chief. I'm only here to discuss something with you. After that, I'll be leaving." Village chief Li responded with a smile, "That's perfect, we can chat while enjoying our tea." N.I. Yang sipped her tea and continued, "Village chief Li, the roads in our village become muddy every time it rains. It is very inconvenient for the elderly and children to walk on them. Yang, are you thinking about fixing the road?" Village chief Li inferred from N.I. Yang's words. Yes, N.I. Yang nodded in confirmation. Village chief Li took a puff of his cigarette. Yang, you know the situation in our village. Before you came back, everyone couldn't even afford meat. At the moment, there is no supportive policy from the government. Talking about road construction is easy, but it requires a substantial amount of money. Even if each household in our village could contribute 100 yuan, it would not be sufficient to cover the costs. Road construction requires stones, cement, sand, and the wages and living allowances of the workers. Altogether, it would cost at least over 100,000 yuan. That isn't a small amount of money. N.I. Yang took out a small notebook and continued, "Village chief Li, I've calculated that our village needs about 20 kilometers of cement road. Building a road about 4-5 meters wide and 20 centimeters thick would require approximately 240 tons of cement, 1,920 tons of sand, and including labor costs and so on, it would cost around 100,000 yuan. I will cover this 100,000 yuan." In the era that followed, based on the price of 138 yuan per meter, a 20-kilometer cement road would cost at least over 2 million yuan. However, this was the cheap and economical 1980s after all. To get rich, build roads first. N.I. Yang had thought it through. She wanted to help build the road in Jinghua village. Only in this way, she thought, could the village further develop in the future. Wuxia world. Sight upon hearing her words, village chief Li was stunned. Yang, what did you just say? 100,000 yuan. That was not a small sum. N.I. Yang said, "Village chief Li, you heard me right. I am completely sober. I want to build a road." Village chief Li took a deep puff of his cigarette. Yang, does your mother know about this? N.I. Yang nodded, "Don't worry, I've already discussed it with my mom." N.I. Tsuehua was also a very grateful person. The villagers of Jinghua village had always treated her and her daughter well. Now that their economic conditions had improved, it was only right for them to give back to Jinghua village. Helping others can be a form of self-help too. Yang, are you really not joking with me? Village chief Li still found it hard to believe. N.I. Yang said very seriously, "Village chief Li, you don't have to worry. I am not joking with you. If you agree to construct the road, we can start implementing it tomorrow. Then the construction team can come to me for reimbursement." Yang Yang, on behalf of all the villagers, thank you. Village chief Li stood up and bowed to An Yang. At a certain medical laboratory, a thin woman clad in a white lab coat and wearing a face mask was bustling around the lab bench. An elderly woman with silvery hair was sitting across from her. Dr. Xiaoran, how are the identification results? Lady Shangguan was very nervous and uneasy at the moment. She was waiting for the identification results. She had a hunch that Enai was somehow tied to her. If not, then she might never find her daughter in this lifetime. Dr. Xiaoran poured the red liquid in one test tube into another one filled with a blue liquid. Aunt Qing, don't worry. The identification results are not out yet. They're not out yet? Lady Shangguan became anxious. Didn't they say the results would be out in 3 months? How come there are still no results yet? Dr. Xiaoran apologized. There is a problem with the identification machine, so it may take a while longer. Aunt Qing, I'm really sorry to have kept you waiting all this time. Hearing this made Lady Shangguan sigh. Dr. Xiaoran looked up at Lady Shangguan and noticed her complexion seemed off. Aunt Qing, has your coughing gotten worse recently? Lady Shangguan responded, it hasn't gotten much worse, it's still the same. Dr. Zioran's brow furrowed. What did Dr. Jiang say? Lady Shangguan avoided directly answering Dr. Zioran's question. Instead she asked, how much longer do we have to wait? Dr. Xiaoran replied, the new machine is still being shipped. Adding the time needed for the identification process, I'm afraid we need to wait until after the new year. After saying this, she added, if you are in a hurry, I can recommend a trustworthy doctor for you. Lady Shangguan shook her head, I only trust you now. Chapter 639, To Get Rich, First Build Roads. _4. Dr. Xiaoran stopped what she was doing, sat opposite the old Mrs. Zheng, reached out and held her hand. Qing, your illness can't be postponed anymore. If Dr. Jiang is not confident about treating you, you should seek other doctors as soon as possible. Dr. Xiaoran is trained in forensic science. Her understanding about human health is not very extensive. She only noted a particularly unhealthy pallor on the old Mrs. Shangguan's face. Mrs. Zheng laughed. As people grow older, the organs in the body start to fail. This has nothing to do with Dr. Jiang's medical skills. Xiaoran, I trust Dr. Jiang just like I trust you. She had been dealing with Dr. Jiang for half of her life. All her major and minor sicknesses were treated by him. If she suddenly replaced him with another doctor now, wouldn't it put Dr. Jiang in an awkward position? Mrs. Zheng was a person who deeply valued relationships. Dr. Xiaoran slightly furrowed her eyebrows. Qing, this isn't about trust. Dr. Jiang is old, his education is old-fashioned. Some young doctors are actually more professional than him. Dr. Xiaoran had met Dr. Jiang before. He was a very kind old man. Dr. Xiaoran did not doubt his character, but she felt that his medical expertise wasn't that strong. Mrs. Zheng continued, I understand. All right, let's not discuss this any further. If the identification results are ready, make sure to inform me first. Yes. Dr. Xiaoran nodded, and escorted Mrs. Zheng out. Butler Lu was standing by the laboratory door. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site. Upon seeing Dr. Xiaoran helping Mrs. Zheng out, he immediately stepped forward and took Mrs. Zheng's arm. Madam. Mrs. Zheng seemed taken aback. Butler Lu, why are you here? She did not inform anyone that she was coming. Madam, let's get in the car first. Butler Lu did not answer Mrs. Zheng's question directly, and opened the rear door of the car. As soon as the car door closed, an old voice echoed in the air. Qing, how are the identification results? Mrs. Zheng turned her head to see Mr. Zheng Jun sitting beside her. Over the years, Mr. Zheng Jun indulged himself in opera and gardening. He hardly cared about what happened in the outside world, or within the Zheng family. All these matters were handled by Mrs. Zheng alone. Previously, when Mrs. Zheng was busy searching for their daughter, Mr. Zheng didn't poke his nose into it. But this time, Mr. Zheng even followed her here, which surprised Mrs. Zheng. Mrs. Zheng shook her head. Xiaoran said the machine had some problems. We have to wait for a new one to arrive. The identification results may not come out until after the new year. Hearing this, Mr. Zheng sighed. There was silence in the car. After a long while, Mr. Zheng spoke again. Is that child really similar to our Tingting? Yes, Mrs. Zheng nodded, very similar, especially her daughter. She looks exactly like Tingting when she was young. Aching. Mr. Zheng suddenly held Mrs. Zheng tightly, his voice choked with emotion. Do you think I will have the chance to see Tingting in this lifetime? Mr. Zheng was 12 years older than Mrs. Zheng. He is over 70 years old this year. He feared he might never see his only daughter again. Over the years, it wasn't that he didn't miss his daughter, he just didn't show it. He was afraid that his yearning would emotionally burden Mrs. Zheng, so he sought solace in gardening and dramatic arts. But recently, he felt that his health was deteriorating, and often dreamt of his long-deceased parents. They didn't speak in his dreams, they just smiled and gestured him to come over. Mr. Zheng had a constant feeling that his end was near. Mrs. Zheng's eyes started to tear up. What nonsense are you talking about? You will definitely meet Tingting. We both will see Tingting together. The elderly couple sobbed together. The atmosphere in the car became suffocating and tense. After a long while, the two old people managed to calm their emotions. Mrs. Zheng spoke to Butler Lu, who was driving at the front. Butler Lu, let's go to Dr. Wang. At that time, there were 2 strands of hair. One was given to Dr. Xiaoran, and another one was given to Dr. Wang. All right. Didn't you say that you don't trust Dr. Wang? Mr. Zheng turned his head to look at Mrs. Zheng. Although Mr. Zheng didn't have much of a presence in the Zheng family and was not involved in the family affairs, his knowledge about the family wasn't less than Mrs. Zheng's. Mrs. Zheng continued, what if Dr. Wang comes up with useful evidence? At this point, they wouldn't give up on even the slightest bit of hope. Chapter 640, To Get Rich, First Build Roads. _5. Old Mr. Zheng nodded. Dr. Xiaoran watched the direction in which the sedan had vanished and let out a deep sigh. From the day she remembered things, Mrs. Zheng had been searching for her daughter. This search had been going on for over 20 years. Soon, she was going to get married and have a baby, and Mrs. Zheng still hadn't found her hope. Dr. Xiaoran turned back to the laboratory and made a phone call. Hello, Lala. I need a favor. A pretty voice came from the other end. What is it, Xiaoran? There's something wrong with my detector here. Can you help me with a DNA identification? Sure. Thank you, Lala. Dr. Xiaoran continued, then I will bring it to you right away. The person on the phone with Dr. Xiaoran is Zhou La, her college classmate and a very good friend. Although Mrs. Zheng doesn't believe in others, Dr. Xiaoran believes in Zhou La. Instead of waiting like this, it's better to let Zhou La do the identification first. With it under her name, no one would be the wiser. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site. After hanging up the phone, Dr. Xiaoran rode her bicycle to deliver the materials to Zhou La. Zhou La is a very enthusiastic person. She took the materials, rest assured, Xiaoran. I've got this. Dr. Xiaoran hugged Zhou La, thank you so much. That aunt of mine is really anxious to find her biological daughter. You're welcome. Zhou La patted Dr. Xiaoran on the back. She too had experienced the pain of losing a loved one. So she knew the pain of parting. Here. Old Mrs. Zheng and old Mr. Zheng arrived at Dr. Wang's place. Dr. Wang warmly welcomed the elderly couple. Old Mrs. Zheng made her request directly, without beating around the bush. Dr. Wang pushed up his glasses that were resting on his nose bridge. Mr. and Mrs. Zheng, please be mentally prepared. Old Mrs. Zheng nodded. Old Mr. Zheng took a sip of water from the cup he held. Only then did Dr. Wang bring out the identification report. Unfortunately, the identification results show that there is no biological relationship between the two of you and the other party. Even though they had already anticipated this result, old Mr. Zheng and old Mrs. Zheng couldn't help but feel disappointed. After a while, old Mrs. Jing took the identification report from Dr. Wang's hand. All right, I understand. Dr. Wang continued, it has been 34 years since the incident. Everything has changed. I would advise you not to dwell on it. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. At your age, you cannot withstand the turmoil or shocks. Living in the present is most important. Old Mrs. Jing nodded. Old Mr. Jing angrily stood up, his eyes bloodshot. Go to hell with your living in the present. Because the lost one isn't your daughter. For many years, this was the first time that old Mrs. Jing saw old Mr. Jing lose his temper like this. She looked at old Mr. Jing, and tears streamed down her face. It turns out, the person who seems to care the least is the one who cares the most. Dr. Wang was startled, his voice trembling. Mr. Zhang, getting angry won't help this situation. It had been 33 years, who knew if their daughter was dead? Let's go. Old Mrs. Zhang took hold of old Mr. Zhang's arm. Old Mr. Zhang pinched his temples, following old Mrs. Zhang out. Your grandpa sure has quite a temper. As the old couple left, a young man and woman appeared from the yard. Zhang Xianjing took a deep breath. My grandfather just misses my aunt too much. I just remembered that I have something to do. I have to go now. Please tell my uncle not to be angry with my grandpa. The young man had a look of regret on his face, reaching out to hold Jing Xianjing's hand. Xianjing, didn't we agree to go watch a movie later? This young man was none other than Dr. Wang's son, Wang Xiaoxing. Jing Xianjing said, I really do have something. When I'm free, I'll definitely go to the movies with you. At this point, Wang Xiaoxing had no value left. Naturally she was ready to kick him aside. She would marry Mr. Mog if she were to marry. For men like Wang Xiaoxing, he barely qualified to be her shoe carrier. What about us? Jing Xianjing feigned ignorance. What about us? Wang Xiaoxing said, I mean our relationship, Xianjing. Didn't you say that you would consider me, give me a chance? Jing Xianjing regretfully said, Xiaoxing, I think I need to consider that. Chapter 641, To Get Rich, First Build Roads. _6. Why? Wang Xiaoxing became impatient. Jing Xianjing replied calmly, Xiaoxing, you need to calm down. Matters of the heart are not to be taken lightly. I cannot make decisions in haste. Moreover, from our time spent together, I feel we are not right for each other. You deserve better. Wang Xiaoxing was rooted to the spot. He didn't understand where he had gone wrong. Jing Xianjing didn't give Wang Xiaoxing much time to think. She turned and left. She needed to rush home and share the good news with Lingling. Jing Xianjing arrived home almost at the same time as the elderly Mr. and Mrs. Zheng. As soon as they arrived home, they noticed Lingling applying medicine to Suyu's wound on the couch. Startled by the noise at the door, Suyu screamed out, Ghost! A ghost! The ghost is coming to kill me. Lingling comforted Suyu softly, Auntie, don't frighten yourself. There are no ghosts in this world. It's just Mom and Dad who are back. Instead of calming down, Suyu seemed even more terrified, her eyes full of fear. She clung onto Lingling's sleeve tightly. It's a ghost. They won't let me go. They're after me. Suyu. Mrs. Zheng hurried over. What happened to her? She asked Lingling. She fell down the stairs by accident. Look, her arm is bruised. Lingling rolled up Suyu's sleeve. She refused to let the doctor apply medicine. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight. C0 Mrs. Zheng sighed. Jing Xianjing gave Lingling a knowing look and took the medicine from Lingling's hand. Mom, let me apply the medicine, Auntie listens to me best. Indeed, it was strange. Whenever Suyu was confused and lost, only Xianjing managed to calm her down. Lingling successfully understood her daughter's glance and addressed her parents. Mom, Dad, where have you been? Mrs. Jing said, your father and I went for a stroll. Oh. Lingling nodded, you both do need to go out more often. Being cooped up at home isn't good. What a stubborn old woman. Still trying to keep things from her? Did she really think that Lingling was oblivious? Thank goodness Lingling had a contingency plan and had Xianjing switch out the strand of hair entrusted to Dr. Wang. Mr. Zheng went to Suyu's side, touched Suyu's hair gently and said, "Suyu, when will you get better?" Suyu used to be a lively and spirited woman. How had she become like this? Suyu pushed Mr. Zheng's hand away, hid behind Xianjing and shrieked, "You're a ghost. Don't kill me. I beg you, don't kill me." Mr. Zheng sighed. If one day he and Mrs. Zheng were no longer around, what would become of Suyu? Would the younger generation be able to treat her with the same kindness? Zheng Xianjing gently patted Suyu's back. "Auntie, don't worry, Grandpa is your brother, not a ghost." Suyu wore a bizarre expression on her face. "He's a ghost." Lingling continued, "All right Xianjing, take her back to her room to rest." "Okay." Xianjing nodded. "Mom, Dad, I'll fetch you the ginseng soup that I have prepared." Just as Lingling brought the ginseng soup, Dr. Jiang arrived carrying her medical bag. Today was Mrs. Zheng's day for follow-up. "Auntie Jiang." Lingling greeted as she rose to her feet. Dr. Jiang nodded, placed her medical bag on the coffee table and asked, "Aching, how have you been feeling lately?" "Not bad," answered Mrs. Zheng. "That's good," Dr. Jiang said, taking out her stethoscope. "I'll head upstairs first then," Mr. Zheng said to Mrs. Zheng. Mr. Zheng wasn't much of a talker when he was younger, and hardly interacted with outsiders apart from his close ones. Over the years, apart from the day when Dr. Jiang brought Lingling back, Mr. Zheng had hardly communicated with Dr. Jiang. Mrs. Zheng nodded, "You go ahead." "Dad, you forgot to drink the ginseng soup." Lingling took the ginseng soup and followed behind Mr. Zheng. Mr. Zheng took the ginseng soup and drank all of it in one gulp. Dr. Jiang chuckled, "Lingling is a very dutiful child." Lingling replied, "You're too kind, Auntie Jiang. These are just responsibilities as a child." Dr. Jiang glanced at Mrs. Zheng's bowl of ginseng soup and continued, "This bowl of ginseng soup has many expensive ingredients and was personally prepared by Lingling. It must have required a lot of your time." "Not really, I didn't have much else to do." Lingling returned to the room with the empty bowl. It didn't take long for Dr. Jiang to finish Mrs. Zheng's checkup. Lingling immediately asked anxiously, "Auntie Jiang, how is my mom doing?" "Absolutely fine. It's natural to have some ailments due to old age, but they are not serious." Dr. Jiang reassured Lingling and then patted Mrs. Zheng's shoulder. "Aching, you raised Lingling well. If it weren't for Lingling's meticulous care, Mrs. Zheng might have already passed on." Mrs. Zheng held on to Lingling's hand. "Lingling really is a dutiful child." Lingling blushed at the compliment. After making sure Mrs. Zheng was fine, Dr. Jiang asked to leave. "Lingling, can you see Dr. Jiang out?" Mrs. Zheng asked. "She didn't feel up for it today." "Okay." Lingling nodded. "There's no need to see me out, I'm practically family," Dr. Jiang replied as she picked up her medical bag. Lingling laughed as she walked Dr. Jiang out. "Auntie Jiang, you've done so much for my mom." Once outside, Lingling seemed to remember something. "Auntie Jiang, my father's been feeling unwell lately. Do you have any calming or soothing medicine?" "I do." Dr. Jiang nodded, taking out a white bottle of pills, half a pill at a time, once a day. "Make sure not to overdose, every medication has side effects." Lingling received the bottle from Dr. Jiang. "Understood, I'll keep that in mind." Dr. Jiang turned back to look at Lingling. "You can stop here." But Lingling continued walking with Dr. Jiang. "Dr. Jiang, today my mom went to see Dr. Wang. But it seems the results weren't very good. I don't know if my mom will be able to find my sister in this lifetime." Dr. Jiang sighed. "No wonder your mom seemed a bit off today. It's understandable considering she's worried. It's been so many years, but you never know. Life often surprises us, she might find her any day now. But on the other hand, if she can't find her, you're her only child now. Make sure to comfort her. Lingling nodded, accompanied Dr. Jiang to the edge of the road. Please be careful on the road, it's getting dark. I know. You should go back now. Dr. Jiang waved goodbye as she left. Chapter 642, Shangguan Furong was slapped _1. Jing Lingling did not go back immediately, instead watching as Dr. Jiang's figure disappeared into the twilight. Dr. Jiang is about the same age as old lady Zheng, in her 60s this year. She has never married and currently lives alone. As soon as Jing Lingling returned to the villa, old lady Zheng asked, "Has your Aunt Jiang gone home?" Zheng Lingling nodded. Old lady Zheng continued, "Your Aunt Jiang lives alone, so if you have time, remember to take Xianjing to visit her. If it weren't for your Aunt Jiang bringing you home all those years ago, where would we niece and aunt have the chance to meet? Blink and over 30 years have passed, and your Aunt Jiang is old now." Again bringing up the past. This damn old woman just can't forget about those years. She has changed her tone and called her mother, but this damn old woman always remembers their relationship as aunt and niece. She never really considered her a daughter. All the filial piety over the years went down the drain. Zheng Lingling clenched her teeth in anger, but still had to put on a smile. "All right, Mom." Old lady Zheng nodded, "I'm going to my room first." Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site. Mom, dinner is about to be served. Zheng Lingling said. Old lady Zheng said, "You go ahead and eat. I've just had some ginseng soup and am not hungry." Zheng Lingling anxiously said, "How can you not eat dinner? Should I bring it up to you later?" "No need." Old lady Zheng waved her hand. On this October night, the stars in the sky were sparse and clear. Mr. Zheng stood on the third-floor terrace, looking up at the sky with his hands behind his back, his eyes showing an indescribable look. The terrace was designed as a sky garden, where Mr. Zheng typically enjoyed sitting in a lounge chair amidst bunches of flaming torches and listening to the opera. Old lady Zheng walked up to Mr. Zheng and said in as light a tone as possible, "What are you thinking about?" "I was thinking about our Tingting." Mr. Zheng's voice was very calm. "Over 30 years have passed. I wonder how Tingting is doing now." Old lady Zheng reached out and held Mr. Zheng's hand. "Tingting must be doing well." Mr. Zheng nodded. Zheng Xianjing came in from outside with a tray. "Grandpa, Grandma, it's time to eat." The old couple wiped away their tears at the same time. Zheng Xianjing came over and placed the food on the table. "Grandpa, Grandma, you should eat something." "How can you not eat anything?" Old lady Zheng nodded. Jinghua Village. After Niyang and village chiefly discussed the road construction, Li called for a village meeting the next day. Everyone was very excited after hearing the news. The biggest issue in rural areas is the roads. Bad roads mean that vehicles cannot enter, which hinders development. Moreover, during rainy days, the dirt roads would become extremely muddy. This not only inconvenienced the elderly and children, but also leaves everyone covered with mud. Niyang funding the road construction could be considered a great deed. Village chief, is this true? The others joined in the discussion as well. Village chief Li laughed. Motzi, look at what you're asking. Would I joke about something like this? This is fantastic. Yang Yang is our village's little lucky star. What do you mean, little lucky star? She's a big lucky star. Village chief Li continued. Everyone, quiet down. The thing is, since Yang Yang is funding this, we can't be inconsiderate. My suggestion is that each household contributes labor if they can, and if they can't, they can provide meals. We can't let Niyang bear all the work, labor, and expenses alone. Okay, I have no objections. I don't have any objections either. Village chief Li smiled. Since everyone agrees, then it is settled. Meeting adjourned. The next day, village chief Li brought in a construction team. Everyone with free time at home voluntarily came over to help. During the afternoon, they even took the initiative to bring snacks and tea to the construction team. When the surrounding villages found out that Jinghua village was building a road, they couldn't help but feel envious. Today is the 18th, the day the Shengguan family is coming to the Ni family for a visit and to acknowledge relations. To show their regard for the Shengguan family, and also to properly entertain them. Ni Tsuehua and Ni Yang moved to their new house a day earlier. Everything in the new house is new, with nothing to move, as long as people move in, that was all. And Ni Chingue lives next door, which makes sharing meals convenient. Mo Chishan came early in the morning. Today, Ni Chingue also took a special day off. Chapter 643, Shengguan Furong was slapped _2. Ni Tsuehua placed the breakfast on the table and said to Ni Yang, Yang, go and invite Grandma Lu over for breakfast. Usually, Grandma Lu lives alone. Today there were a lot of people around, so it would be a chance for her to mingle. All right. Ni Yang nodded. I'll go with you. Mo Chishan stood up to follow Ni Yang. Along the way, Mo Chishan curiously asked, Yang, who is Grandma Lu? Grandma Lu is a very kind old lady. She has no children and lives alone usually. While saying this, Ni Yang seemed to suddenly remember something and raised her wrist. Oh yes, this bracelet was given to me by Grandma Lu. Mo Chishan held Ni Yang's wrist and squinted at the bracelet. This bracelet? What about this bracelet? Ni Yang asked. Mo Chishan said, this bracelet seems to be from the Ming dynasty. Ming dynasty? Although Ni Yang knew this bracelet must be valuable, she never would have thought it was from the Ming dynasty. Mo Chishan nodded slightly. This Grandma Lu must have been born into a wealthy family, right? Ni Yang continued, it is said that Grandma Lu was a landowner's daughter in the past. Later, due to wars, she fled here. As they were talking, they arrived at Grandma Liu's house before long. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight Grandma Lu was feeding ducks in the yard. Grandma Lu. Yang is here. Grandma Lu looked up with a beaming smile. Good day, Grandma Lu. Mo Chishan greeted politely. Although most villagers already knew Mo Chishan, Grandma Lu did not. She rarely went out and had been sick in bed for a while. Who is this young man? Grandma Lu looked at Mo Chishan curiously. Ni Yang said, Grandma Lu, this is my boyfriend, Mo Chishan. Oh, Grandma Lu nodded repeatedly, very good. The young man is really handsome. How old is he? 28, Mo Chishan answered. 28? Grandma Lu calculated, that's 10 years older than our Yang. It's good to be older. Older people know how to care for others. Where are you from, young man? Grandma Lu, you can just call me Xiaoma. I'm a local from Beijing. Good. Being a local is great. It's convenient to visit your parents' home when you're close by. After chatting with Grandma Lu for a while, Ni Yang explained why they came. Upon hearing this, Grandma Lu said, well then, you two wait for me here. I'll go change my clothes. Alright, Ni Yang nodded. In a short while, Grandma Lu had changed her clothes and came out. For today, Grandma Lu had put on a wine-red tang suit that she would only wear during the New Year. Her silver hair was meticulously combed to the back of her head and held tightly with a silver hairpin. Her face may be full of wrinkles, but she carried an aura of a lady from a reputable family. Today is Ni Quihua's big day. Grandma Lu can't let her down. That's why she dressed up. Grandma Lu, you look beautiful. Ni Yang walked over and supported Grandma Liu's arm. Grandma Lu grinned and said, not to brag, but I looked even better when I was young. Not only was Grandma Lu beautiful, but she was also very strong. Like the older people in the village, her feet had been bound when she was young. Normally, people with bound feet can't do heavy work. But she did everything. Soon, they arrived at the courtyard of the Ni family. Enai Tsuihua warmly offered Grandma Lu the seat of honor. Grandma Lu declined, already showing me, a lonely old woman, the courtesy of inviting me over, is more than enough respect. How could I sit in the seat of honor? In Chinese etiquette, the seat of honor is usually reserved for the elderly and respected members of the household. Since Grandma Lu was born into a wealthy family, she knew this well. Enai Tsuihua said with a smile, "You're our elder, it's appropriate for you to sit in the seat of honor. Apart from Sister Qinggui, I don't have any other relatives in the village. I am counting on you and Sister Qinggui to support me today." In all these years, no one has said such things to Grandma Lu. Grandma Lu was moved, her grip tightened around Enai Quihua's hand. "Child, thank you. Thank you both for your kindness to this old woman." Jinghua village was unusually bustling today. There was a crowd gathered on the east side where the road was being repaired. On the west end of the village entrance, a group of elegantly dressed people were walking. They were chatting as they went along, clearly not ordinary villagers. Chapter 644, Shengguan Furong was slapped _3. A stranger in the village always garnered curiosity. Whose relative is this? Such an ostentatious entrance. I have no idea. Maybe they are relatives of Yang Yang's family. Seems like that to me. Looking at the curious villagers, a look of disdain crossed Shengguan Furong's face. Where there is poverty, there are peevish folks. Have they never seen a wealthy person before? Initially, Shengguan Furong had no intention of coming. Still, persuaded by the old lady Shengguan, she came. No matter what, Shengguan Dehui was her brother. She should save him face. Shengguan Furong is not an unreasonable person. But now, she regrets the decision terribly. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight looking at the village's low and humble earth houses, Shengguan Furong's disdain intensified. Which era are we living in that people still inhabit such homes? Does Enai Quihua's family also live in such houses? And the road is terrible. Cars can't even move on these rugged and potholed surfaces. Wearing high heels is an absolute torture, and it's excruciating. If Zhao Shen hadn't supported her, she would have stumbled countless times. Shengguan Furong, consumed with resentment, extends her hand to Zhao Shen. "I'm thirsty. Here some mineral water." Zhao Shen quickly hands her a bottle from his bag. Shengguan Furong didn't reach out to take it. Zhao Shen asked, puzzled, "What's the matter?" Shengguan Furong replied irritably, "Open it." "Are you, dead man?" Oh. I'll open it for you now." "Shengguan," cries the old lady, "all you know is how to bully Zhao Shen." "Ask Zhao Shen if I bulldoze him," counters Shengguan Furong's. No, my mother, you misunderstand. Furong never bullies me," Zhao Shen responds instantly. The old lady Shengguan shakes her head helplessly. For Furong to marry Zhao Shen in this life, it must have been because she had accumulated a great deal of good karma in her previous life. Who else could tolerate her? The Zhao family are all honest people. Even Shengguan Furong's mother-in-law hardly dares say a harsh word to her. This was Shengguan Zai's first time in the countryside, and her eyebrows and eyes were filled with curiosity. The air in the countryside is so fresh. Wow! Is that sugarcane? Shengguan Su knocked Shengguan Shi on the head. "That's corn." Shengguan Shi stared at Shengguan Su. "So smart of you." "I intentionally said sugarcane. I'm old enough. Don't I recognize crops?" Shengguan Su shrugged. Yes, you know them all." "Of course I recognize them." To prove she really did recognize the crops, Shengguan Shi hugged the old lady Shengguan's arm and pointed at a lush field. "Grandma, look at those beautiful little cabbages." The old lady Shengguan laughed and replied, "That's canola." "Stupid." Shengguan Su flicked Shengguan Zai's forehead. Shengguan Shi moaned, touching her forehead, "I didn't get it wrong." Canola is another name for little cabbage. This canola isn't the same as the one we usually eat. It blooms in spring and produces seeds that could be used to extract cooking oil. That's why it's called canola, explained the old lady Shengguan. You kids are really lucky. Not only do you not have to do anything, but now you can't even recognize crops. When I was your age, I had traveled all over the country. Although born in a noble and wealthy family, the old lady Shengguan had lived through a time of war and hardship. Feeling embarrassed, she toyed with her hair and changed the subject. Dad, when will we finally get to Aunt Dia's place? Soon. Shengguan Dehui replied, when we round the next bend, we'll be there. Oh. In no time, they arrived at the gate of Ni Chenghui's quadrangle. Shengguan Dehui, unaware that Ni Qihua's family had moved to a new house, knocked on Ni Chenghui's gate. The obvious look of distaste on Shengguan Furong's face as she studied the somewhat old quadrangle was hard to ignore. This house is absolutely deteriorated. No wonder Ni Tsuehua is scheming to be with Shengguan Dehui. Most likely, she wants to turn into the proverbial phoenix. What on earth Sheng Dehui saw in a woman like Ni Tsuehua was beyond Furong's comprehension. Creak. Instead of their gate, the door next to it opened. Ni Tsuehua stood at the door. Auntie, Sister Su Lian, Furong, Xiaoxiu, Xiaoxi, you all came, come in quickly. Ni Tsuehua welcomed everyone inside her house. Chapter 645, Shengguan Furong was slapped _4. Upon entering the courtyard, one could immediately notice the vibrant life within it. The rose-covered wall, the swing beneath the grapevine, and a small, colorful goldfish pond. Although the pond wasn't large, it had a well-designed drainage system with an antique water wheel installed by its side. The ground of the courtyard was not cemented, but carpeted with sturdy grass with a path of pebbles laid into it instead. Clusters of vibrant, multicolored plums were blooming on either side of the path. It's so beautiful. Shengguan, she exclaimed. Even Shengguan Furong was slightly taken aback. She originally thought that she would step into a dirty and messy farmhouse. But what she saw was a miniature version of Jiangnan. Madame Shengguan asked, Dia, did you have someone design this courtyard? Not only was the courtyard beautiful, but its layout was also very reasonable. Attention was even given to feng shui considerations. Ni Tsuehua said, no, it was Yang Yang who designed it herself. Before Madame Shengguan could respond, Shengguan Furong remarked, well, Yang Yang from your family is really talented. She was already singing praises for Ni Yang even before she became part of the Shengguan family. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New Omicron, 0 Ni Yang's design? A little village girl like Ni Yang managed to design such a beautiful courtyard? What a ridiculous joke. She mustn't hurt her back making such big claims. Ni Tsuehua chuckled and responded, this child has been clever since she was young. This left Shengguan Furong speechless. She had never seen someone as shameless as Ni Tsuehua before. Didn't Ni Tsuehua realize that she was being sarcastic? Ni Tsuehua dared to take it seriously. She even went on about how smart Ni Yang was. Oh my God. Why did such people exist in this world? Madame Shengguan intervened, it's all due to your good parenting, Dia. Without a good mother to guide and teach, how could there be such an outstanding daughter? One could tell from Ni Qihua's behavior and demeanor that she was a very well-bred person. The group then entered the house together. The interior decoration was even more beautiful. The modern minimalist style was embellished with classical elements, perfectly combining a sense of the past and the present. The hand-painted plum blossoms on the wall seemed to be blooming in snow. Ni Tsuehua took the initiative to introduce everyone, Auntie, Sister Su Lian, Furong, brother-in-law, Xiaoxiu, Xiaoxi, let me introduce you. This is Auntie Lu, this is my sister Ni Chinggui. Since Ni Yang called the older lady Granny Lu, Ni Tsuehua would have to address her as Auntie Lu to avoid confusion in seniority. Everyone greeted each other warmly. Ni Chinggui observed everyone subtly. Madame Shangguan seemed very kind. Su Lian appeared savvy. Shangguan Furong appeared arrogant, as though she might be difficult to get along with. Zhao Shen looked like a pushover, judging by his demeanor. He would probably have no say at home. As for Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, the children seemed flawless. They were beautiful and very polite. Overall, the members of the Shangguan family gave Ni Chingue a favorable impression. Just then, Ni Yang and Nemo Chishan descended from upstairs. Ni Tsuhua said, "Oh, yes, this is Yang Yang's boyfriend, Mo Chishan. You can just call him Xiaoma." Ni Tsuhua cheerfully introduced Mo Chishan to everyone while holding him by the hand. Boyfriend. Ni Yang even had a boyfriend now. Shangguan Su was momentarily stupefied. Mo Chishan respectfully greeted everyone. Everyone's expression became subtly uncomfortable at the sight of Mo Chishan. Mo Chishan, the man with the worst reputation in their high society circle. How did Ni Yang end up with Mo Chishan? Especially Shangguan Furong, her disgust was almost visible in her eyes. If Ni Tsuehua married Shangguan Dehui, then Ni Yang would be considered her half-niece. How could her niece marry such a man? It was one thing for Ni Tsuehua to throw herself at Shangguan Dehui, but Shangguan Furong wouldn't tolerate anyone else tarnishing the reputation of the Shangguan family. Wouldn't she be ridiculed for being related to a wastrel like Mo Chishan by marriage? At that moment, Shangguan Furong was feeling absolutely frustrated. No way. She had to prevent this from happening. Either let Shangguan Dehui and Ni Tsuehua break up, or ensure Ni Yang and Mo Chishan broke up. Ni Yang couldn't be with a man like Mo Chishan. Shangguan Dehui, smiling, extended his hand to shake Mo Chishan's. "Xiaoma, do you remember me? I carried you in my arms when you were a child." Years ago, the Shangguan family and Mo family had some connections, but over time, their relationship faded. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 646, Shangguan Furong was slapped _5. Shangguan Dehui respected Ni Yang's views and did not interfere with her feelings. Because he knew that Ni Yang was a person with her own thoughts and ideas. Perhaps, Mo Chishan was not as unbearable as he appeared to be. Mo Chishan smiled and said, "Of course, I remember." Looking at Mo Chishan, Grandma Shangguan thought for a long time, and finally said, "Oh, you are the sixth one from the Mo family, right?" Mo Chishan nodded, "That's right, madam." Grandma Shangguan laughed, "I used to play mahjong with your mother, and she often mentioned you." Although Mo Chishan's reputation was not so good, he was handsome, vibrant, especially when standing next to Ni Yang, that was a pleasing sight. Grandma Shangguan had a very good first impression of Mo Chishan. Everyone used to say that the sixth one of the Mo family was a waste of space, but today's impression of him was very different from the rumors. Not only is he high-spirited, but also modest and courteous, gentle as jade, and definitely not useless. If such a person is considered useless, then there probably aren't many normal people in Beijing. Grandma Shangguan had seen countless people and would never misjudge someone. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. And Ni Yang was so outstanding, her judgment of people couldn't be that bad, could it? Shangguan Furong stood up and looked at Mo Chishan. "You are the Mo Chishan who was rejected by Jingrong." Shangguan Furong's aunt, Zhao Yeshu, is Jingrong's aunt as well. Zhao Yeshu often talked about Mo Chishan in front of the Shangguan family. Mo Chishan was the embodiment of uselessness, a wastrel without any achievements or career. If any girl were to marry him, it would mean she was extremely unlucky. If the Zhao family knew that the person they didn't want was actually picked up by the Shangguan family, what would people think of the Shangguan family? Isn't this ridiculous? Zhao Shen's family and Jingrong also had some family connections. The more Shangguan Furong thought about it, the more her scalp tingled. These words were clearly intended to embarrass Mo Chishan. Mo Chishan was not upset and nodded, yes. He had heard countless sarcastic comments, so if he were to care about each one, he would probably have died of anger by now. It turns out Mo Chishan had such thick skin. He even had the nerve to nod. Did he think he was being honorable? Shangguan Furong smiled, knowing the answer but still asked, I'm a very curious person. Why did Jingrong break off the engagement with you? Grandma Shangguan immediately laughed to smooth things over. Nowadays, young people are free to love. It's normal that they don't like the old style of arranged marriages. Unlike in our era, where men and women often got married without even having seen each other. At the same time, Grandma Shangguan gave Shangguan Furong a warning look. This child, she was becoming more and more tactless. Aunt Lu agreed, Big sister, you're right. It wasn't like this during our time. Shangguan Furong still didn't give up, but I'm still very curious about why. By any chance, did Jingrong look down on you? Furong. Grandma Shangguan frowned slightly. Zhao Shen carefully tugged at Shangguan Furong's sleeve, whispering, Furong, I think Mom seems angry. Shangguan Furong glared at Zhao Shen. Ni Yang walked over with a smile, curling her arm through Mo Kishan's. Why bother about the reason? I like Brother Mo, and Brother Mo also likes me, so he broke off the engagement with Zhao Jingrong. Just as Shangguan Furong was about to say something else, Ni Yang interjected, Aunt Furong, do you know why Xiaoming's grandmother lived to the age of 103? Shangguan Furong asked subconsciously, why? Ni Yang said lightly, because Xiaoming's grandmother never interfered with others' affairs. I wish you also a long life. Ni Chengui almost laughed out loud. Even Shangguan she wanted to applaud Ni Yang. What a great answer. In short life? Shangguan Furong was so angry that she almost passed out on the spot. This Ni Yang was completely ungrateful. Even after she showed her the true face of Mo Chishan, not only did she not show any gratitude, she even insulted her. She was absolutely without any manners. And yet, she couldn't think of any way to rebut this. Brother Mo, let's go to the kitchen and prepare the food. Ni Yang looked up at Mo Chishan. All right. Mo Chishan nodded. The two of them said goodbye to everyone and headed towards the kitchen. Shangguan Su watched their retreating figures. He seemed to be in a daze. With Ni Yang's conditions, she could have found someone better. Why does it have to be Mo Chishan? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 647, Shangguan Furong was slapped _6. Moreover, it was evident that Ni Yang was very protective of Mo Chishan. Did Mo Chishan really possess some extraordinary qualities? Ni Yang and Mo Chishan went into the kitchen. Brother Mo, I'm sorry for making you feel embarrassed. Ni Yang gripped Mo Chishan's hand. Mo Chishan's thin lips parted slightly, so you're gonna comfort me? Should I hug you then? Ni Yang pulled Mo Chishan into a hug. Mo Chishan chuckled, patting her hair. Is this what you call an embarrassment? You're really not angry? Ni Yang looked up at Mo Chishan. Mo Chishan shook his head. There's no need to be angry over such a trivial matter. If he cared about his reputation, he wouldn't have become the person he is today. His current status allows him to see many things that can't be seen from a high position. Like the human heart. Grandma Shangguan took an opportunity to pull Shangguan Furong into a corner, admonishing her harshly, and only then did Shangguan Furong finally calm down. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. She stopped picking at things during lunch. Of course, it might also be because Ni Yang's cooking was too delicious. The dishes on the table were quite unusual. Such as grilled fish, sour fish, boiled meat, hot pot, which were unfamiliar to everyone. Beijing people generally like spicy food, and this meal was perfectly to their taste. Shangguan she was utterly amazed. Yang, the food you cook is really delicious. Even better than the pickled fish noodles and kanto stew you sell in your restaurant. Absolutely, Grandma Shengwan also gave Ni Yang a thumbs up. Ni Yang's cooking skills were absolutely divine. Shengwan Furong looked up at Ni Yang. The food was very delicious. Ni Yang's face was pretty too. Beyond these two advantages, it seemed hard to find other advantages in Ni Yang. Considering her status in the circle, she could find someone better for Ni Yang than Imo Chishan. Shengwan Furong narrowed her eyes, plotting inside. After dinner, Shengwan Dehui and Ni Tsuehua took everyone to stroll around the village. Ni Yang and Imo Chishan stayed in the kitchen to wash the dishes. Only Ni Chengui and Grandma Shengwan remained in the house. Grandma Shengwan tactfully mentioned the wedding date of Ni Tsuehua and Shengwan Dehui to Ni Chengui. It wouldn't be right to talk about this matter directly with Ni Tsuehua. It was more appropriate to discuss it with Ni Chengui. Chengui, both of them are not young anymore. I was thinking, if they can marry early, they should marry early, so as to avoid any additional troubles. If Daya is not willing to move to my place, it's fine for Dehui to accompany her here, as long as they visit me once a week. Grandma Shengwan was not the kind of person who wouldn't make a concession. Ni Tsuehua had lived here for a long time and was used to it. If she suddenly had to move to the Shengwan's house, she would definitely feel uncomfortable. After all, Shengwan Dehui used to live on campus, so there wouldn't be a problem if he stayed here with Ni Tsuehua after their marriage. Ni Chengui nodded. You're right, Grandma, but I can't decide this for Yang Yang's mother. How about this, please leave your number, and I'll ask Ni Tsuehua and then confirm with you. How does that sound? Alright, I'll leave it to you then. Grandma Shengwan continued, once things are settled on your end, I'll arrange for the matchmaker to come. Although it was a second marriage, the formalities wouldn't have to be neglected. Okay, Ni Chengui nodded. She had to admit, Grandma Shengwan was quite considerate. They returned to Beijing in the evening. Shengwan Furong said, I don't agree with Ni Yang being with Imo Chishan. You don't agree? What gives you the right to decide? Grandma Shengwan looked at Shengwan Furong unhappily. Is it up to you now? Shengwan Dehui's face also didn't look too pleased. Shengwan Furong's performance in the Ni family's house in the morning had made him lose face in front of Ni Tsuehua. Fortunately, Imo Chishan was magnanimous and didn't pay her any mind. Mom. I'm doing this for the sake of the Shengwan family. Shengwan Furong continued, you allowed my brother to be with Daya, that's fine. But now you're letting Daya's daughter be with Imo Chishan. Isn't this a disgrace to our family? Auntie Zhao has said all those things about Imo Chishan in front of us and it's not like you weren't aware. Why should we take someone that Zhao Jingrong doesn't want for the Shengwan family? Even if Grandma Shengwan could ignore the shame, she still had to save face. Ni Yang's surname is Ni, not Shengwan. Shengwan Dehui spoke out coldly, are you insisting on meddling in other people's affairs? Shengwan Furong turned to look at Shengwan Dehui, shocked, Daya is about to marry you. Isn't Ni Yang supposed to change her surname? Do you mean to let the Shengwan family support them while they keep the Ni surname? This is unacceptable. I disagree. If someone marries into the family, they follow the family. Now that Ni Tsuehua is about to marry into the Shengwan family, she would belong to the Shengwan family. As Ni Kuihua's daughter, Ni Yang naturally couldn't continue to bear Ni Kuihua's surname. If Ni Yang continued to bear the Ni surname, what would this mean? You don't have the right to disagree. Said Shengwan Dehui, Ni Yang is capable of supporting herself. She is far more excellent than you can imagine. Shengwan Furong huffed, isn't she just a noodle vendor? What's so great about that? Brother, you're just a typical case of a man forgetting his sister after getting a wife. I share a blood connection with you, yet now you're willing to turn against me for a stranger? I only have your best interests at heart. Daya is nothing but a seductress. She doesn't deserve to set foot in our home. Here, Shangwan Furong paused before continuing. I'm laying down the rules today. Either you break up with Daya, or Ni Yang ends things with Mo Chishan. Otherwise, Daya won't be allowed into the Shangwan family's house. Also, Ni Yang must change her surname. She doesn't have the right to bear the Ni surname any longer. Shut up. Overwhelmed, Shangwan Dehui finally gave her a slap. After that slap, the car fell silent. Shangwan Furong covered her face, looking at Shangwan Dehui incredulously. You hit me? You actually hit me? Zhao Shen finally reacted and cried anxiously. Furong, are you okay? Does it hurt? Shangwan Furong angrily pushed Zhao Shen's hand away. Shangwan Dehui. How dare you hit me? Shangwan Dehui had never hit her before. But today, she had been slapped by Shangwan Dehui. In front of everyone. Even teenagers like Shangwan Su and Shangwan Shi were present. And also Su Lian, who had always been at odds with her. How was she supposed to carry herself now? Was this how Shangwan Dehui was going to treat her? Well slapped. Grandma Shangwan spoke coldly. If you weren't slapped, you would never understand your place. You may arrogantly throw your weight around in the Zhao family, where people accommodate your behavior, but not in the Shangwan family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 648. When did you become so close with her? _1 Shangwan Furong was so angry that her whole body was trembling, her left cheek covered by her hand, tears falling like cut strings of pearls. Shangwan Dehui had hit her, and it was bad enough that the elder Mrs. Shangwan hadn't defended her, but even worse, she had poured oil on the flames, blaming Shangwan Furong instead. In her mind, she was only doing all of this for the good of the Shangwan family. Would she ever even say a word if she didn't carry the Shangwan name? Now she has become the villain. Do you think I wanted to meddle in everything? Everything I've done for the Shangwan family. Matriarch Shangwan cast a glance at Shangwan Furong. I will tell you once again, the affairs of the Shangwan family do not need your intervention. What was supposed to have been a happy occasion was wrecked into a complete mess by Shangwan Furong. The atmosphere inside the carriage was heavy with tension. Once they stepped out of the carriage, Shangwan Shi set out to comfort Shangwan Furong. Aunt, don't be angry, my father was too impulsive today, he didn't mean to hurt you. Actually, it was the first time Shangwan Shi had ever seen Shangwan Dehui explode with such anger. The Shangwan Dehui in his memories has always been gentle and cultured. He had never even erupted in anger in front of others. That moment had startled even Shangwan Shi. Truly, a beautiful face brings disaster, said Shangwan Furong. For this, I don't blame your father. Blame should fall on Daya. If not for her, your father would have never treated me like this. Source, web novel. Updated on new. Since she was a child, Shangwan Dehui had always doted on her. Had never spoken harshly to her. Shangwan Shi continued, Aunt, it's not Aunt Daya's fault. I've observed her closely, Aunt Daya is a very reasonable person, before Shangwan Shi had finished, Shangwan Furong interrupted, Xiaoxi, by the tone of your voice, am I the one to blame for all this? Daya hadn't even married into the Shangwan family yet, and she was already being treated as an outsider. If Daya were to marry into the Shangwan family, would her voice not even matter anymore? Aunt, that's not what I meant. Shangwan Shi chose his words carefully, afraid of upsetting Shangwan Furong if he misspoke. I think you may be misunderstanding Aunt Daya. Shangwan Furong remained silent, her face cold. Shangwan Shi was still a child, she could let it slide with him. But she would definitely hold Ni Tsuihua accountable for all that had happened. So, you also believe Ni Yang need not change her surname? Shangwan Furong asked. Aunt. Shangwan Shi continued, Ni Yang is an individual in her own right. She belongs to herself and no one else. Furthermore, she's of age now, whether she wants to change her surname or not, We can't force her. It should be her own decision. Besides, Aunt Dia raised her single-handedly since she was little. The Shangguan family has never paid for any of her upbringing. Isn't it unreasonable to force Ni Yang to change her surname? Shangguan Shi, like his father, was known for being reasonable. Everyone is siding with her. Shangguan Shi said, "Aunt, perhaps you can try putting yourself in their shoes. If it were you, would you be willing to have your daughter, whom you've raised painstakingly for 18 years, change her surname?" "Xiaoxi, what are you trying to say?" Shangguan Furong was shocked. "Are you cursing your own aunt for the sake of an outsider?" That was just too much. Now, it seems no one from the Shangguan family even cared for her anymore. No, Shangguan Shi hurried to explain, "Aunt, I was merely making a comparison." Shangguan Furong took a deep breath. "Fine. Let's leave this matter aside for the moment. Let's talk about Ni Yang's personal affairs. Everybody is well aware of who Mo Qishan is. Dia is going to marry into the Shangguan family, and if her daughter is with Mo Qishan, wouldn't that reflect poorly on the Shangguan family? Mo Qishan was nothing more than a failure. What qualifications did he have to be a son-in-law of the Shangguan family? The mere thought of it gave Shangguan Furong a headache. Shangguan Shi said, "Aunt, I believe we don't need to meddle in this affair, do we? After all, it's Ni Yang's personal business. Freedom of love is granted in today's society. She can be with whoever she likes. Everyone ought to mind their own business. Meddling too much would only lead to unnecessary troubles." Shangguan Furong was seething with anger. No one understood her. They made her feel as if she was a nosy person. But it is our family's reputation at stake. Shangguan Shi didn't know how to comfort Shangguan Furong anymore. Her thoughts were too extreme. "Aunt," Shangguan Shi tried to soften his voice, "I think Mo Qishan isn't as bad as people say. Think about it, if he were truly useless, would he behave so gracefully? I think there is a misunderstanding about him in the outside world. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 649. When did you become so close with her? _2. If Mo Qishan is really a waste, then there wouldn't be any normal people in the world. Shangguan Furong felt that she couldn't communicate with Shangguan Shi anymore. She snorted coldly. If he's not a waste, would Zhao Jingrong have broken off the engagement with him? The Shangguan family's status in the circle is not lower than the Zhao family's. Why would they want someone that even the Zhao family has discarded? The Shangguan family aren't a garbage recycling service. Maybe Zhao Jingrong was just mistaken, Shangguan Shi reasoned. A waste is a waste. Zhao Jingrong, returned from studying abroad in M country, would she be mistaken? Only a naive country girl like Ni Yang would think she's struck gold. She doesn't even mind the shame. Shangguan Shi let out a small sigh, held Shangguan Furong's arm, and said, "Aunt, Ni Yang is an outstanding girl, she's no worse than Zhao Jingrong." "You don't need to think about it that much." Shangguan Furong's eyes were full of mockery. A country girl wants to compete with a person who studied abroad. "Xiaoxi, you must be out of your mind." Shangguan Shi was silent. She felt like she really couldn't communicate with Shangguan Furong. In psychology, what was this called? Midlife crisis? Source, web novel. Updated on Omicron New, but the age for midlife crisis is around 45 to 60 for women. Shangguan Furong is only in her 30s this year. Claiming she's undergoing a midlife crisis wouldn't fit in terms of her age. The aunt and niece walked ahead, while Zhaoshan followed behind. After sending Shangguan Furong home and comforting her a bit, Zhaoshan returned to the car. The old Mrs. Shangguan asked, "How's your aunt?" Shangguan Furong is her only daughter, pampered since a child, with strong and proud personality. The old Mrs. Shangguan was afraid that she might do something desperate. Shangguan, she said, "I think she should be fine." The old Mrs. Shangguan sighed lightly. "It's my fault for not educating her well since childhood." She's got such a bad temper. Grandma, don't worry too much, comforted Shangguan Shi. My aunt has always been like this, but she's not a bad person, just ignore her. At times like this, Shangguan Shi could only comfort both parties. The old Mrs. Shangguan nodded, turned to Su Lian. Sister Lian, I'm sorry for the embarrassment. Su Lian said, every family has its own problems. Don't think too much about it. The old Mrs. Shangguan continued, if only Furong was half as sensible as you, I wouldn't have to worry so much. The old Mrs. Shangguan was truly grateful to Su Lian. Su Fen had a difficult delivery. Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi were twins, born with a particularly weak constitution. At that time, Su Lian's child had just turned 8 months old and she had abundant breast milk. Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi were nursed by Su Lian. Although Su Lian was just an aunt, for Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, it was no different from a biological mother. That's why Shangguan Dehui respects Su Lian so much. Zhao family. After Shangguan Furong returned home, the more she thought about it, the more upset she became, and she found everything disagreeable. Zhao Shen was standing nervously to one side, afraid of being implicated. Seeing that her daughter-in-law was in a bad mood, Mrs. Zhao carefully brought over a plate of cut fruits. Furong, these fruits were just delivered by Uncle Lin today, they're fresh and sweet. Eating more can also help dispel your body heat. At those words, Shangguan Furong became even angrier. Mom, what are you implying? Do I look angry to you? Are you here to laugh at me because my brother hit me? She was bullied by both her parental and marital families. How unlucky could she be? Mrs. Zhao explained, Furong, you're misunderstanding. I didn't mean it that way, I just thought that you. Shangguan Furong turned to look at Mrs. Zhao, and interrupted her, then what did you mean? I think you did it on purpose. Furong, don't be angry. It's all my fault. If you don't want to eat, I'll take the fruit away. Mrs. Zhao reached out to take the fruit plate. The daughter-in-law was so bad-tempered. Mrs. Zhao had no choice but to endure. After all, she was getting old, and even if she was wronged, she wouldn't be wronged for too many days. Poor Zhao Shen. He would have to suffer for a lifetime. Mrs. Zhao sighed inwardly. Enough is enough. Shangguan Furong frowned and said, Mom, go back to your room and rest. What are you doing causing a ruckus here? Don't I look distraught enough to you? The old woman is truly annoying. She just knows how to create trouble. Mrs. Zhao then said, then I'll go out for a walk. Shangguan Furong said impatiently, just go. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 650, When did you become so close with her? _3. As soon as she finished speaking, Shangguan Furong glared at Zhao Shen, you go away too. Standing here like a nail. It's so annoying. If it were another man whose wife got hit, he would definitely fight back immediately. But Zhao Shen, he doesn't even dare to fart. Just like a waste. Alright, Zhao Shen nodded and responded, following old lady Zhao out of the room. As the mother and son left the room, old lady Zhao sighed, Shen Bao. When will you be able to stand up for yourself? Mom, Furong's temper is a bit strong, but her heart is kind, Zhao Shen said, helping old lady Zhao down the stairs. She hasn't mistreated you, nor did she keep you deprived. Old lady Zhao helplessly shook her head. Isn't a bad temper a flaw? In all of Beijing, which daughter-in-law would arbitrarily command her mother-in-law? Old lady Zhao has worked all her life for the Zhao family, only to have to rely on others in the end, and put up with Shangguan Furong's changing moods every day. What sort of deal is that? From the dark, a shadow hid behind the green plants, quietly listening to the mother and son's conversation. Source, web novel. Updated on Omicron, old lady Zhao continued, Shen Bao, Isn't equality between men and women being emphasized now? When can our family have this equality? Mom, let it go, Zhao Shen said. It's fine as it is. Why stir up trouble in the family? Old lady Zhao sighed. Shen Bao, I ache for you. The most important thing between husband and wife is respect. Where else would a husband get punished and slapped by his wife at the drop of a hat? Think about it, hasn't Shangguan Furong bullied you enough? I think you should learn from Dehui. If that doesn't work, seize power with force. She didn't expect Shangguan Furong to be virtuous. She only wished Shangguan Furong could temper her strong nature, have Zhao Shen suffer less and make their home feel more like a home. Zhao Shen replied, Mom, I know you care about me. But Furong is just like that, even her own mother can't do anything about her. What can I do? It doesn't matter. That's how I've been living my life anyway. Zhao Shen once complained to old lady Shangguan. Old lady Shangguan reprimanded Shangguan Furong, but in the end, it was useless and even led Shangguan Furong to become more unruly. After that, Zhao Shen didn't dare to complain easily anymore. Old lady Zhao waved her hand. Forget it, I also didn't have hope that you could actually resist. As mother and son moved further away, the dim street light cast long shadows of the two, and a dark green leaf fell on the ground. Shangguan Furong sat on the sofa, watching her own face in the mirror. Dehui was brutal, there was a clear handprint visible on her left cheek. Just then, the butler walked in from outside. Madam. What's the matter? Shangguan Furong looked up at the butler with annoyance. The butler swallowed and said, Comrade Lin Fong is here. Don't see her. Shangguan Furong uttered angrily, tell her to go home. All right, the butler nodded, turned around and walked towards the door. Lin Fong was carrying a gift. When she saw that the butler had come out, she immediately went up to him. How is it, Butler Lin? Has Madame Zhao agreed to let me in? The butler shook his head and regretfully said, Madam isn't in a good mood today, you should come back another day. All right then. Since Shangguan Furong would not see her, she had to leave. As she turned to walk away, Lin Fong turned around and asked, Butler Lin, we both have the surname Lin, maybe 100 years ago we were from the same family. You know why I came today, do you have any news on this? Butler Lin looked back at the room, then to the outside, and in a lowered voice said, Comrade Lin Fong, I suggest you give up on the Shangguan family. I heard from Madam that the Shangguan family has found an old flame, they have met and are now discussing the wedding date. Lin Fang's heart skipped a beat, she was extremely distressed. Originally, the position of Shangguan's matron was hers. And now it's been stolen by others. Fortunately, she now had a new goal in mind. Lin Fong sighed, all right, I understand, thank you. You're welcome. After learning this news, Lin Fong with her gifts made her way back. The Ni family. After the Shangguan family left, Ni Chingue helped Ni Tsuhua tidy up the dishes in the kitchen. Ni Chingue said, Yang Yang's mother, I think Dehui Shangguan's family is quite nice. The old lady is kind, and her children are obedient. When do you plan to settle things with him? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 651, When did you become so close with her? _4. Even though Shangguan Furong was a bit of a handful, she was, after all, a married woman, living away from the Shangguan family. Therefore, she wouldn't have much impact on Ni Tsuehua and Shangguan Dihui's lives. Ni Tsuehua was stunned for a moment, then said, There's no rush with this matter, what's there to rush? You two are nearly 40 and 50 years old respectively. Ni Tsuehua continued, We are both remarrying and we want the wedding to be simple. All we need to do is get a certificate from the Civil Affairs Bureau. There's nothing much to prepare for. She had everything she wanted and was already very content. How could that be acceptable? When we got married back then, all we needed was a red cloth and a red gown. But times have changed. Now the wealthy are getting married in wedding dresses, looking stunning. Yang Yang's mom, now that you have the means, you definitely should wear a wedding dress at least once. Wedding dresses were not yet popular in the countryside of the 1980s. But in the city, everyone was wearing them. Wedding dresses had become a popular trend. Ni Tsuhua laughed and said, "They are for the younger ones. I am not so young anymore." Ni Chingui replied, "What does it have to do with age? If you have the means, why not wear it? If you don't wear one now, you will surely regret it later when you are older." He then added, "Yang Yang's mom, seriously, when exactly are you and Shangguan planning on holding the wedding?" Madame Shangguan is waiting for a response. Ni Tsuhua considered for a moment, then said, perhaps we'll hold it in early spring after the Chinese New Year. At this time of the year, Ni Yang was quite busy. Little Ni Yun was still small, and Ni Tsuehua wanted to spend more time with Shangguan Dehui before the wedding. Having experienced a failed marriage once, Ni Tsuehua was somewhat fearful of the term marriage. Source: web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New. Hearing this, Ni Chingui was relieved. Actually, the people of Shangguan family, including Shangguan Dehui's sister-in-law Su Lian, are all very nice. It's just that Shangguan Furong is a bit off. You know the old saying, eldest sister-in-law is just like a mother-in-law, youngest sister-in-law is like a noisy gong. Be careful with her when you live with Shangguan Dehui. Eldest sister-in-law is just like a mother-in-law, youngest sister-in-law is like a noisy gong. This is a folk proverb. It means that the eldest sister-in-law tends to meddle in her husband's family affairs, while the youngest sister-in-law is prone to making trouble. Clearly, Shangguan Furong was no good at all. Ni Tsuhua chuckled, "I won't be living with her anyway, so what's there to worry about?" Ni Chingui said, "The fear is that she will be nosy and stir up trouble. It doesn't hurt to be cautious. You wouldn't want to regret it later if you end up being taken advantage of." Ni Tsuehua nodded. Ni Chingui continued, "Your future mother-in-law is indeed a good person. She told me today that she agrees to let Shangguan Dehui live with you after the wedding. It was rare for a mother-in-law to agree to let her son live in her daughter-in-law's house. This arrangement was hardly different from having a stay-at-home son-in-law." "Really?" Ni Tsuehua was somewhat surprised. She was actually quite fearful of living in a large mansion of a wealthy family. "Absolutely." Ni Chingui replied, "Madame Shangguan told me herself. But there is one condition, she hopes you two can visit her once a week." Ni Tsuehua nodded, "That would only be right." After hearing this, Ni Tsuehua felt much more relieved. As the night deepened, Ni Yang saw Mo Chishan off at the edge of the village. The nights in October were rather crisp. The moonlight cast a silvery sheen on everything. By the time they arrived at the outskirts of the village, the car hadn't arrived yet. Mo Chishan held Ni Yang's hand. Yang, Ni Yang looked up at him, her long lashes casting dense shadows on her eyelids. Mo Chishan continued, "When are your mom and Uncle Shangguan planning on holding their wedding?" Ni Yang was taken aback. She didn't expect Mo Chishan to ask this question. She thought that Mo Chishan would have some reservations about the Shangguan family to some extent. During dinner, although Shangguan Furong didn't openly ridicule Mo Chishan anymore, she didn't show him a friendly face either. "I'm asking you a question." Mo Chishan pinched her face a bit. Ni Yang replied, "Older brother Mo, aren't you even a little bothered by Aunt Furong's attitude? Why would I care about what she does?" Mo Chishan replied, "She is her, and Uncle Shangguan is Uncle Shangguan. At the very least, the rest of the people from the Shangguan family are very polite." Ni Yang nodded, Older brother Mo, you're right. You haven't answered my question yet." Mo Chishan continued. Ni Yang gave a slight smile, "I'm not sure about that either. I don't know what my mom and Uncle Shangguan have planned." She had no objections, no matter when the wedding was held. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.